Chapter 231 Labyrinth Encroachment Part 6. Apito and Beretta, who were fighting against Dino, suddenly disappeared. Although they had sealed his legs and were continuously torturing him, it all came to an end all too suddenly. Telling himself that it was probably his imagination that the torture was slowly starting to feel good, he started thinking of the reason behind Apito and Beretta's disappearance. What's with them, Dino had thought, but it only took him a moment. As the reason soon became clear. He had detected an enormous energy response, approaching at an intense speed. As the floors inside the labyrinth differed in dimensions, it gets difficult to detect with magic detection if something is a few floors apart. However, that response was bare and showed no signs of concealment, and even while it was coming from a few floors apart, it caught Dino's detection. "Oi, Ramirez! What is going on here?" Dino yelled. And the reply to that was, for the time being, the fight is on hold. If you want to continue the fight, let's meet again later." An ambiguous reply. "I see, that Zero completed the labyrinth encroachment, so those guys are in a hurry to escape. Alright, nice, I am also probably saved with this." Judging that he was able to escape from the danger, Dino chuckled. But that was a very naive thought. Having assimilated with the labyrinth, just as Rimuru and the others predicted, Zero had completely lost his reasoning power. At the end, his sense of self was just cultivated through printing. In front of great power, he couldn't resist and became an existence which only acts on instinct. However, that was also according to what Velda had predicted. Zero will absorb the surroundings' energy, multiply and enlarge. And then, he will bring destruction upon that area. That was exactly the way to operate the completed Aji Dahaka. Even a strong being like Zero is nothing but an activation medium for it. The stronger the medium is, the stronger Aji Dahaka's rampaging state will be. Not to mention that the labyrinth's insides make replenishment of vast energy extremely easy. The evil dragon which was born, sublimed all the energy it had absorbed at once and turned into an existence which can even be called the sixth dragon species. And, abiding by its evil dragon-like instincts, it began the elimination of all life forms inside the labyrinth. Its name is, Mad Evil Dragon, Zero. Malice bared its fangs. The trembling inside the labyrinth started growing. The reason behind it was because the source of the vibration was closing in on the floor Dino and the others were on. "Hey, is it just me, or do you also have a bad feeling about this?" "What a coincidence." "I also do, Pico." Gracia and Pico conversed anxiously. "And towards those two." "Oi, you two, that is fine, just help me get my legs loose." "Beretta, that bastard, she left, leaving the floor all metal," yelled Dino, struggling to get his legs out of the metal floor. It was probably not fun for him, being completely forgotten like that. "Ahaha, sorry. But, I am surprised such an unpleasant ability exists. Can't you apatheicize and turn yourself into energy?" "I can't. This stupid annoying ability also has jamming waves flowing through it. That demon doll-like one, she seemed much stronger than the ones we fought, after all. Being trapped by physical things, such a disgrace for a spiritual life form, huh, Dino? Shut up. Just help me already, Pico." "You got what you deserved, Dino. It's because you're always so lazy that you have to go through these. If you had gone all out, you might have been able to avoid this, right?" "I wonder?" "I was pretty serious. At the very least, I endured the pain seriously." Pico and Gracia looked at him as if they were looking at an idiot. If you had the time to be serious about the pain, why not be serious about escaping from it? Was what could be clearly read from their expressions. What is it, ganging up on me like that? Even I was thin." Just as Dino was about to say something, that had reached their floor. That being Zero, who had lost all sense of ally and foe due to an extreme feeling of hunger. How do I say this, that Zero, seems like a different guy. Or rather, is it really Zero? This is bad, he seems to have lost all senses. Aren't we in danger, as well? The three were dumbfounded, but it was Gracia who realized the danger first. And the bad feeling they were getting a while ago was indeed appropriate. Just as their eyes met, Medieval Dragon Zero came attacking the three. Pico and Gracia were saving their energy for their escape. Gracia came forward and blocked Zero's tentacle attack. The circle shield Gracia had equipped on her left hand had transformed into a huge shield unfitting of her slender body, and she kept on blocking the lance-like tentacles one after another. Its shape had resembled Gerudo's huge shield a lot, and the abilities were also equal in general. Gracia was originally a warrior specialized in defense. However, Zero, Medieval Dragon Zero, who had now assimilated with the labyrinth, had tentacles in all directions, making it possible for him to attack in all directions, as well. It was impossible to block them all off with just one shield, and as such, Gracia's situation did not look good. Protected by Gracia, Pico created several spears to negate the tentacles. But even that attack didn't have much of an effect in front of the unlimited tentacles. There's no way they could match up to the Medieval Dragon Zero, who possessed the amount of energy the dragons did. Pico and Gracia's energy were shaved off very fast, and that, on the other hand, increased Medieval Dragon Zero's strength. This is bad. At this rate, we will run out of energy and be eaten alive. What do we do? Even with my defense, we won't last long with this in front of us. There's a limit to how many shields I can create, you know. At the moment, the two of them were protecting themselves, but as long as the fundamental problem of not being able to defeat Zero persisted, they would just be prolonging their death. On top of that, there wasn't much time to think. Medieval Dragon Zero could absorb the labyrinth's energy, but Pico and Gracia had no choice but to release energy. What do we do? At this rate, we will get annihilated. But, then Velda-sama will. Dino was troubled. Dino, think carefully. Veldanava and Velda are different beings, you know. Remembering Ramir's words, he strengthened his resolve. That's right, that's exactly it. Why was I hesitating over something like this? Why was I trying to release Dagrul, to make him fall into depravity? Wasn't it all to get over Veldanava-sama's death? It is true that he still possesses his memories, but his personality, even the way he thinks, is like that of a completely different person. It's weird when I think about it. Is it possible that he also controlled my thoughts? Either way, taking care of Zero comes first now. Dino tightened his fists and punched his cheeks with all his strength. There was no pain. However, he could feel quite the damage to his brain. But with that punch, all the cloudy troubles inside Dino got blown away. Oi, you guys. I have decided to rise against that Velda bastard. But what will you guys do? Will you? Geez. Who cares about such trivial stuff, just save us, you good for nothing. That's right, Dino. If you don't hurry, my shield will be penetrated, you know? I have been creating defensive shields continuously for a while now, but all of them are being destroyed. With my strength, even buying time will be. Besides, Dino, I don't think this world is such a bad place. The fried squid I had when we sneaked into this country was pretty delicious too. I heard it had demon ingredients mixed in, but it was pretty good, huh? And so, I actually didn't really want this war. I just came along cause you said you would follow Velda. That's right, Dino. We follow you. You guys. Dino couldn't hide his honest surprise to Pico and Gracia's reactions. He was perplexed by how they didn't have any loyalty towards Velda, who was equivalent to even God. However, at the same time, he thought that, as he suspected, he was probably under Velda's control. All right, got it. Seems like I made you guys wait a bit. Dino said with a smile of no doubt. And while smiling, and so, Pico, do something about this metal holding my feet, he asked Pico refreshingly, but don't tell anybody about this. Dino came forward with a daring smile. He had Pico destroy the ground and was successful in escaping. Now, then. I guess I will go all out for once. Muttered Dino, who normally looked very sleepy but now had his eyes wide open. Divine Armament Manifestation. For the first time in a long while, Dino apotheosized and turned his body into battle form. His appearance was blazing with splendor, with 6 pairs of wings. Shining black and white wings. He had attired himself with a jet black pastor-like formal clothing and summoned 2 swords. Excalibur and Caliban. On top of it being a god-level weapon, it was also tempered thoroughly with star heart. White and black, holy sword and demon sword. Excalibur, which shone like gold, and Caliban, with a jet black body and star mount. Maneuvering those two extreme opposite swords skillfully with both hands, that was Dino's way of fighting. He was a dual-wielding swordsman. Using the god's greatsword Crumbling Fang was only his temporary fighting style, and it was also how Ramiris knew Dino wasn't serious. As Dino had not trained using a greatsword with both hands, he was only relying on his ultimate skill, Belphegor's hyper mode, to fight. If Dino had brought out his two swords, his skill would even excel that of Albert or Graward. The strongest swordsman in this world, that was Dino. Dino casually walked forward and lined up with Gracia, who was blocking the tentacles. "Leave the rest to me." And just as he said that, he cut off all the tentacles in an instant. Gracia took a breather. It had been more than 1,000 years since she saw Dino in this form, but, as always, it gave her that sense of security. "Good grief, you're so lazy." On contrary to her thoughts, Gracia had a smile on her face. "Go, Dino. Send that monster flying." Pico cheered for Dino. Dino responded to her cheers by slightly shrugging his shoulders. And, at that moment, clang, clang. Metallic footsteps could be heard. Someone was walking towards them calmly. And then, that person asked Dino, "Is that your true form? Even the seal of Death Butterfly I carved on you disappeared, eh?" "It stands to reason. As I thought, my eyes hadn't misjudged." "So? Are you ready to apologize to Ramiris-sama?" The man who came, Zijin, asked, without even showing any sign of surprise towards Dino's transformation. He probably guessed as much when he couldn't completely control Dino. That Dino's true power rivals that of Zijin, or perhaps even exceeds him. "Yeah, sorry about that, Ramiris." Dino honestly apologized to Ramiris. Ramiris' reaction towards that: "Hoo ho 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 ho. Seems like my righteousness has been proved, huh. Fine, I will forgive you. And so, Dino, defeat that evil dragon species already." Was as such. Dino gave a bitter smile and then his expression stiffened. He noticed how Ramiris mentioned dragon species there. Good grief, Zero, that bastard. So he took in the labyrinth and evolved into a dragon, eh? No, that's exactly what Velda aimed for, giving him Aji Dahaka. If so, I can't think of anything other than him trying to use and destroy his subordinates. Certainly, such a guy cannot possibly be Feldon Avisama's reincarnation. Dino stood, without any doubt in his mind. "So, will you help me out, Zijin?" "Naturally." Hearing Zijin's unhesitant reply, Dino smiled. Dino casually threw his sword to Zijin. That was Dino's favorite temporary weapon, God's Grade Crumbling Fang. "I will let ya have that. I need to defeat this guy quick and pay my debts to Velda." Zijin lightly nodded and said, "I shall accept," and caught the sword with one hand. He then went and sheathed the sword on his back. And at that moment, the Crumbling Fang started shining dazzlingly. By the time that light settled down, a pair of wings had grown on Zijin's back. That was the Crumbling Fang's newborn appearance after having combined with Zijin. It was the moment Zijin's new ability, Crumbling Feather, was born. It accepted you as its master quite easily. "Looks like I wasn't accepted by it till the end, huh?" Dino grumbled. Zijin didn't pay any heed to Dino and turned to face Pico and handed over the thing he was holding in his other hand. Kia third. It was the mini-dragon Gaia. Before Zijin went to defeat Zero, he searched the labyrinth and took Gaia under him. "This dragon is Demon Lord Rimuru-sama's pet. Treat with utmost sincerity." Wait. Pico became flustered. She lamented, "Why me?" but it was quite an appropriate role. As long as Gracia focuses solely on defense, there's no one else free. Even while doing all these, the tentacle attacks didn't pause for a moment. Dino brushed it all aside. And then, the preparations of the ones left behind in the labyrinth was complete. Dino and Zijin. Next, it was their turn to attack. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 232, Labyrinth's Encroachment Part 7. Labyrinth's Encroachment Part 7. Dino and Zijin. Those two were squaring off against the Berserk Evil Dragon, Zero, and repelled his attacks. Their aim was to get outside the labyrinth, in other words to escape from Zero's body. Oh man, this is going on forever. Dino grumbled while annihilating the attacking Zero's clones with Deep Bullet 1. Zero seemed to be able to make his clones endlessly with the acquired power he had as he fused completely with the isolated labyrinth. As each of the clones had the same strength as Zero before he evolved, and they could regenerate numerous times. Even if the clones were killed, it was meaningless as their corpses could revive. After all, since Zero's main body was the labyrinth itself, he could absorb all the energy used inside the labyrinth. Any emission-type techniques are meaningless. You should know that such actions benefit the enemy more. Zijin warned Dino while he minced Zero's clones with his shining wings. Zijin pulverized his enemy with his new ability, Crumbling Wings, Kyuzuha 2, by vibrating his wings. By generating directional high-frequency waves which cut everything that they came in contact with. Moreover, by combining it with Zijin's magic power, it was possible to change its property depending on the enemy's wave. In addition to all heaven sight, Zijin had acquired the means to attack in all directions. It could be said that his blind spot had disappeared. Even with all of that, Zijin had never used any emission-type abilities ever since he joined forces with Dino. He handled the incoming enemies with direct blows and slashes of his wings. The reason was the aforementioned labyrinth's power. Zijin was familiar with its nature as he was its strongest guardian. Dino's energy was enormous, his total energy surpassed Zijin's. However, that didn't mean it was inexhaustible. It wasn't a problem for Dino to shoot tens of thousands of magic bullets, but it would be a different story as all of the energy was absorbed by the enemy. Seriously? Then, does that mean Zero is applying Ramorous Labyrinth power on himself? Zijin answered Dino's question by silently nodding. Looking at Zijin, Dino immediately depressed. Zero's clones could regenerate until the labyrinth's energy ran out. The clone's ability was equally the same as if multiple existence was used. All of the Zeros were moving under the same drive. The only saving grace was that they couldn't use techniques since Zero's ego had collapsed. However, a true dragon is still a true dragon class. Looking at only his energy, it was a terrifying thing to be felt as he easily surpassed Dino's. Hey, Ramorous. Does the labyrinth have any weakness? They keep reviving no matter how many times we kill them, you know. Don't be stupid. My labyrinth has no such thing as a weakness. Inside the infinite floors, communication to the outside is sealed. Such a thing as escaping would be impossible. Idiot. Don't brag. Then, how can you communicate with us right now? That's because. According to Ramorous' explanation, the inside of the Berserk Evil Dragon, Zero, the labyrinth itself, was a completely isolated space. It became a subspace where communication was impossible, whether it was with telepathy or thought transmission. However, by following Remuru's instructions as he had predicted this predicament, the countermeasures were perfect. This time, it was possible to communicate through Zijin. Exchanging information became possible through the soul corridor between Zijin and Remuru. And so, the connection of this soul corridor became the key to escape from the Berserk Evil Dragon, Zero's body. In other words, we weren't walking around aimlessly. Dino was relieved hearing Ramorous' explanation as he was tired of continuing to walk through seemingly endless passages without any sign of an exit. Dino's swords cut the approaching Zero's clones and tentacles that grew from the ground and wall. His twin swords, the Holy Sword and the Demonic Sword, were shining and clad in white and black aura respectively. In order to suppress the release of energy, Dino changed his fighting style to cladding his swords with fighting spirit. Dino appeared to repel the enemy easily, but that was because his sword skills were excellent. Although Zero lost his ego, there was no doubt that Zero was dangerous as he was attacking out of instinct. Because Dino was abnormally strong, as if he went through an uninhabited plane, the enemies couldn't get close to Dino. There was needless to say about his companion, Zijin. Dino and Zijin walked side by side and disposed of any hindrances. Pico was walking in the center while carrying Gaia, Garasha was responsible for being vigilant and protecting their rear. Saving their energy as much as possible and dealing with everything with just swords was much harder than they had thought. It didn't mean they got tired physically, but it was more of a mental fatigue. Although Dino thought that it would be better to stay put in one place which was easy to defend without moving around, as it was useless even if they defeated the enemies. According to Ramiris, such an action wasn't futile, but it would be best for them to head towards the nearest outer wall. In the first place, it wasn't a good idea to stay in one place because they were inside the enemy's playing field where the area itself could be rearranged freely by the enemy. Well, that's the reason, so can you guys go towards the designated point? Got it. So, what do we do when we get there? Let loose. Use your strongest attacks, and escape through the wall with full power. We can do that. Whether you can or can't doesn't matter, just do it. Besides, there's no other way to escape, you know. Ah, okay. Dino judged that it was useless to ask any further. Since Ramiris said there was no other way, he guessed he had no other choice but to do it. What left was whether it was possible or not. Because it was their strongest attack, they probably didn't need to consider the energy consumption. Because there was no need to worry about a little consumption as long as they passed through the wall. Now, it was about how much power was needed for it. Dino pondered about his abilities. First of all was the ultimate skill Slothful Lord Belphegor, which he had acquired without his permission even though he had no intention to gain it. It was a skill specialized in mental attacks. By incorporating the perception obstruction of the ultimate skill Slothful Lord Belphegor, Dino strengthened the unfamiliar great sword he used into a phantasmagoric sword which he could transform freely. Its affinity with Dino's current dual swords needed no mention. However, its effect was weak against someone in a rampage state like Zero. It was very unfortunate that Slothful Lord Belphegor wasn't useful. He also thought of unleashing the full power of his abilities, but if that failed he won't have another chance. Dino deemed it would be better to reserve it as his trump card. Then what should he do? Guess I have no other choice but to use it. Dino sighed as he gave up and decided to use his last resort which he wanted to keep hidden. Inside the control room, Ramiris and the others were also very busy dealing with the situation. As it was unclear whether Dino deemed Velda as an enemy or not, they were preparing the countermeasures for both situations. If Dino teamed up with Zero and let himself be eaten, they had planned to release the isolated part into the infinite corridor. But, if Dino became an ally, they had to help him escape from inside of Zero safely. If it was just Zijin, the plan was to forcibly do space transfer based on his location information via Soul Corridor and escape. Using an attack to punch a hole through the wall momentarily, it would be possible to transfer to the outside through that gap. However, in order to escape together with Dino's group, they had to make a big hole in the wall. To transfer in an unstable state was dangerous. It would be fine if it was just Dino, but as Pico and Garasha were weaker when compared to Zijin and Dino, it was doubtful whether they would be able to endure the transfer through the subspace outside the labyrinth. Therefore, it was necessary for the preparation to be in a perfect situation. Besides, there was another problem. Zero had evolved into a true dragon. Although Rimuru had informed them about the possibility, because Rimuru's words were vague like it would be alright, probably, they thought it wasn't an important matter. In the unlikely event that such a situation became reality, they were to contact him immediately. So, while Ramiris became Zijin and Ko's Navigation 3, Benimaru was contacting Rimuru. And so, the operators inside the control room accomplished their works following the manual provided beforehand. Kyufu. Unbelievable, for a true dragon to be really born. As expected of Rimuru-sama, it looks like he had predicted everything. An excited laughter echoed inside the control room. It came from Diablo. Rimuru had ordered him to go to the control room. Diablo instructed the operators, who were panicking to stand up, to continue their work as they were with his hand. To the demon operators, Diablo was terrifying as usual. Oh, Diablo. You're so fast. Of course. There would be no problem in ignoring Zero, if his evolution ended after he fused with the labyrinth. However, since he has become a new true dragon, we can't leave him alone. That's for sure. However, I have heard about the possibility, yet I'm still surprised. As expected of Rimuru-sama, he had predicted things this far. What are you saying? That goes without saying. Leaving that aside, Benimaru-dono, it looks like your recovery is still insufficient. Let me give you some of my energy. Oh, that'll be helpful. I thought that my recovery rate was insufficient if I want to destroy that. The amount Benimaru had recovered was less than half. Therefore, Diablo transferred his energy to him. It was an impossible method for everyone else, but it was possible for Diablo, who could manipulate the energy of Rimuru's nihility collapse for. While watching those two, Ramirez said, "The only members here who can move in that space are Diablo, Zijin, and Benimaru. Benimaru, you can use space-time control properly, right?" "Certainly, Ramirez-sama. Although I only just got the hang of it." "Okay then. With this, all of the cards have been assembled, I guess. 5. We might need to call Master or Rimuru if Dino didn't join our side. Felder-sama might be busy right now. He probably can't spare any of his time for that." "I see. Well then, I will have to make you guys work hard. It would be bad if we didn't make Dino come to his senses." Fu. That is exactly as planned. Rimuru-sama believed that Dino-sama would join our side. As expected of Rimuru. Well, I also believed that Dino will change his mind. Even while Ramirez was gleefully talking with Diablo, everyone was working without stopping. And so, the preparations were finally complete. "Well, are you guys ready? Okay then, let the final plan begin." Along with Ramirez's command, the final plan was set into motion. Dino and Co reached the point designated by Ramirez. All that's left for them was to act together with the signal. Ramirez began explaining to Dino and Co. "Okay. First, you guys need to escape from there. I want you guys to pierce the wall using medium-level power. Then, the two people over there and Gaia will jump out with Zijin and Dino's barrier protecting them. After that, you guys have to return back after destroying that abominable evil dragon." Dino was staring in puzzlement. He couldn't understand the content of the words Ramirez said. Medium. Dino didn't understand the meaning of it. Destroying that abominable evil dragon. He had no idea how. Hey. Hey. Wait please. What are you saying? You're counting me as a member of the evil dragon subjugation, aren't you? He wanted to ask about the medium thingy, but the evil dragon subjugation was a bigger problem than it. Dino objected in panic. He didn't want to be made as a member without his consent. However, such a thing won't work on Ramirez. Hey you. You could prostrate before me in order to get my forgiveness, right? If you don't score some good points here, I wonder what will happen. You won't be able to imagine it, right? Dino had no other choice but to submit to Ramirez's threats. In addition to being an opponent he couldn't triumph against in a quarrel since the olden days, Dino was in a weak spot this time. Dino tearfully steeled himself. Got it. Then, what do you mean about medium? You don't even know about that? It means to use enough of your power to make a hole in the wall but don't use up all of your power. Wait. Like hell I could understand such vague explanations. Besides, you said to go full power before. Geez. You're so noisy about such trivial things. Don't mind the minor details, go open a hole in the wall and escape. After you escape, save a portion of your power for your strongest attack to destroy that evil dragon. Dino was being prattled on by Ramirez one-sidedly. In short, he could understand that what she was trying to say was to break the wall while saving enough power to attack the evil dragon. Good grief, she's really irresponsible. As if I could say this, though. It seemed that two people who behave alike could get along surprisingly well with each other. All right, let's escape quickly. Dino leisurely took a stance. He no longer thought of being stingy with using his ability. Now, what he needed to do was to match his timing with Zijin to Pico and Garasha, and break the wall. Good, protect them with your barrier properly, okay? Otherwise, they would get swallowed up by the subspace and get blown away to no one knows where. Dino nodded to Ramirez's warning. Aside from Zijin who was connected via Soul Corridor, Dino and Co who didn't have firm bonds, had no foothold inside the subspace. Still, Dino could manage it somehow, but he predicted that Pico and Garasha would get swept away easily by the subspace. If they were swallowed up by the phase fluctuation inside the subspace, it would be impossible to predict what kind of different dimension and space they would get blown into. Because it was a different space where the flow of time could get distorted, it would be hopeless to return to the same spot once you got swept away. Even for Pico and Garasha, who were of the awakened Demon Lord class, it would be difficult for them to maintain their existences inside the subspace. The minimum requirement for that was to own the space-time control skill. It was an ultimate ability that nobody else had apart from Diablo, Zijin, and Benimaru, who finally could use it. Listen, you two wouldn't be able to move inside the subspace. Therefore, grab onto me tightly, okay? I think you can't come back once you get swept away. Understood. I probably won't die, but I don't know where I will end up going to. Dino, can I trust you? Leave it to me. Now that we've come this far, we just have to do it. The three of them were having such a conversation. At that time, Zijin took out something from his Space Warehouse 6 and offered it to Dino. Take it. Dino took it as he was coerced by Zijin's attitude that won't let him say yes or no. It was a small, round orb. This thing is the pseudo-core 7 that Rimuru uses to play, right? Dino's question was met with silence. It seemed Zijin had no intention to answer it. While Dino was grumbling quietly okay, whatever, with set eyes, he tucked the orb into his pocket. The preparation was complete. Things won't end just with escaping, there would be work to do afterwards. Dino understood this well and paid close attention so that his power distribution won't be wrong. And then, at the same time with Ramirez' signal, the four people inside Zero released their power. 1. Nushoku Mario Kyuden, Diapubureto, Condensed Magic Bullet. 2. Hahane/Kyuzuha. Fuse Sensei gives us the furigana for it. Could mean feathers, but using insect wings would be the correct one. Imo. 3. Maikiane, Nabigaito. Written as guidepost/guide, read as navigation. 4. I'll use this from now on and we'll change it from the past chapters later. 5. Mentsu, meld/melded tiles. Ramirez used a mahjong term for combination of tiles that form a set. Think this as you get all of XIA cards in your hand XD. 6. Kyokinsuko. Space/spatial warehouse/storehouse. 7. Haoja, Jiji-kan. Haoja means sacred/precious gem/orb, Jiji means pseudo/artificial, kan is firm, Gijikan, which mean artificial/pseudo soul/spirit. A pseudo core for a pseudo soul. This orb is what Rimuru and Co used to play with their avatars inside the labyrinth. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 233, Labyrinth's Encroachment Part 8 Conclusion. Labyrinth's Encroachment Part 8 Conclusion. Dino had a hidden ability. Ultimate Skill Fallen Lord Lucille 1, one of the oldest ultimate abilities. It had the abilities of both Guy's Prideful Lord Lucifer and Milim's Wrathful Lord Satanael. However, its performance was inferior to Guy and Milim's ability. Therefore, Dino deeply understood that Fallen Lord Lucille would be meaningless against Guy and Milim. Dino was Stellar Lord Dragon, Feldinava's trusted retainer. He was always by his side, crossing battlefields as Feldinava's sword. He had become the strongest swordsman at that time. And then, the world had been pacified and conflict had vanished from the world. Afterwards, Feldinava gave him the task of being the surface's guardian, traveling around the world. However, as if his master were waiting for Dino's absence, Feldinava died. Feldinava's beloved wife, Lucia, had also gone with him. In his fury, Dino destroyed that foolish country. At that time, what he acquired was ultimate skill Fallen Lord Lucifel. His ultimate skill Sky Lord Lucille II, which was originally given to him by Feldinava, had transformed. Fueled by his raging wrath and hatred, Dino did everything he could for destruction. Without being sensed by Demon Lord Guy Crimson, Dino swiftly exacted his vengeance. However, that never made Dino feel better. He thought about destroying the world itself, but remembering Milim, the orphaned child of Feldinava and Lucia, calmed his raging heart. Then several thousand years passed. While losing his reason to live, Dino continued his duty as the guardian of the surface world. Although he himself lived lazily and only heard reports from his two subordinates. The reason why he became a demon lord was to gain information. Protecting the being called Milim from the shadow became Dino's reason to live. Although he never came into contact with her directly, and neither had he planned to acknowledge Milim as his master. When Dino saw the scum claim and hit Milim, something changed inside him. Unique skill sloth that he had acquired unknowingly had evolved into ultimate skill slothful Lord Belphegor. Unique skill sloth, which Dino acquired while continuing his slothful lifestyle, had the ability to deprave the targets. Because he ended up obtaining the skill, Dino thought about using it. To kill time and partially to tease Dagruel, Dino played around and tried to deprave him with his unique skill sloth. Like Dino, Dagruel, who had dedicated his loyalty to the same deceased master, was pitiful. That was also the reason why Dino tried to untie Dagruel's heart. It was a completely unintended event for Dino that the ability he used for such purpose evolved into an ultimate ability. However, even so, Dino's fate was changed because the acquisition of this ability. Was it a coincidence, or perhaps, was it fate? Those with Angel Series ability couldn't resist the Master Program, Ruler of the Angel, the hidden ability of Ultimate Skill Justice Lord Michael. The only possible way to resist it was to offset an Angel Series ability with a Demon Series ability. Although it had transformed Fallen Lord Lucille was still a part of Angel Series ability, it couldn't escape from absolute control of Justice Lord Michael. However, at this moment, here, inside the labyrinth created by Ramaris, when Ultimate Skill Fallen Lord Lucille, which he had sealed for a long time, was activated, Dino realized. I see. Angel Series ability facilitated the thought guidance as a marker. Whereas the Demon Series were free abilities, Angel Series were hierarchical abilities. They were programmed to obey the order of the Supreme Being. Dino, who had his resistance increased due to becoming a fallen angel from the start, and because he was isolated in this subspace, was now released from the curse of control. Once he escaped, he wouldn't get caught for a second time. Dino's slothful Lord Belphegor offset fallen Lord Lucille and he regained full control of himself. Dino passed through the hole on the labyrinth's outer wall and jumped into the subspace. When he did so, he suddenly sensed the traces of the thought interference wave from Justice Lord Michael against fallen Lord Lucille and completed the countermeasures with slothful Lord Belphegor. Although Dino may have been a bum, he worked fast. It wasn't that he couldn't work, he just didn't want to. That was how the man named Dino was, he would do things swiftly as possible if he was forced to do so. It was needless to say, the best thing for him was not working. Unfortunately for Dino, however, a future of hard work awaited him. Good job. Now, you have one job left. Ramaris' thoughts reached him even though he was separated from Zijin. In short, he had completely succeeded in escaping from the inside of Zero's body. It seemed that two other people had stood waiting. Zijin promptly headed to his designated position. Dino felt from their presence that those two's energy levels easily surpassed those of awakened Demon Lord class. With Zijin included, the three people arranged themselves like an equilateral triangle. Diablo and Benimaru, is it? Did their energy increase again? Dino thought so, although he wasn't eager to throw out a Tsukamai. Dino quickly understood the aim of the plan and his role in it. They were trying to annihilate Zero with the ones who had the strongest fighting power. Dino had thought that it would be impossible to annihilate Zero seriously since destroying a true dragon wasn't easy at all. But he realized that they were actually serious about it. Dino also moved inside the subspace so that the lengths of the sides became equal and reached his designated position. It was a ritual requiring no less than 4 people. With 2 people, it formed a one-dimensional line of 2 dots connected. With 3 people, it formed a 2-dimensional triangle. If it was with 4 people, it formed a 3-dimensional tetrahedron. In other words, they were forming a spatial magic circle which far surpassed the level of the multi-layered magic circle. And so, a tetrahedron was formed as to enclose the Berserk Evil Dragon, Zero. With each person as a vertex, Zero was caught inside Absolute Barrier 3. Kyufu, as expected of Demon Lord Dino-sama. It helps that you're exceptionally observant. That's creepy. Don't need to use honorifics with me, Diablo. Is that so? There isn't shred of respect inside my heart, you don't have to worry about it. You're fucking kidding, right? That's so uncalled for? So you aren't just being sarcastic. That thing aside. Shouldn't we end this quickly? That's right. Leave the nonsense for later. Why is it my fault? Dino held back from saying those words. It was pointless even if he said it, it could be worse as it might unnecessarily provoke Zijin's anger. The notion that Zijin would be someone hard to deal with had already taken root inside Dino's mind. Well then, Dino Dano. The main act is yours. We will match our timing with yours. So Diablo said. Benimaru and Zijin didn't have objection either. If it was just the three of them, it was possible for them to match their timing perfectly, but to request something like that from Dino would be harsh. So, at the same time that Dino unleashed his technique, the three of them would follow it. Dino had no complaints either. Rather, he felt relieved that he wasn't asked to do something unreasonable, such as matching his timing with theirs. Gotcha. Let's go with full power. Dino yelled, sharpened his spirit and focused his mind in order to unleash his strongest attack. His 6 pairs of white and black wings shone, as he gathered the surroundings' magic essence and spirits into his twin swords. Fallen Crusade 4. And so, he fired a white light slash and black shadow slash. Both of the slashes intersected spectacularly at the center of the tetrahedron. Colorless aurora filled the inside of Absolute Barrier. However, the attacks on the Berserk Evil Dragon 0 weren't over yet. The moment both slashes intersected. End of world. Dimension Storm. Prominence Acceleration. Several super special moves were unleashed. With exquisite timing, it all reached the center of the tetrahedron as to cover Dino's technique. It caused a catastrophic, destructive power which was the greatest ever seen since the beginning of the universe. The catastrophic destruction filled Absolute Barrier, which was created to not let such power escape. Quartet Skill 5 Breakdown Nostalgia 6. The power of the 4 people combined as one and brought forth the ultimate destruction. It could be said that it was fortunate that this place was a subspace. For example, even if it was sealed by Absolute Barrier, just the leaked aftershock of the destructive power would be enough to wreck the surface ground. Since it was a quartet skill by 4 of the most powerful beings in the world, the synergy produced an unimaginable result. You are reading this in Guro's place. Everyone who witnessed the spectacle was completely silenced. Except for one person. Kyofufu, kaha, kahahahaha. Amazing, what a truly amazing power. However, what is more amazing than all else is the existence called True Dragon. Even after being bathed by such destructive power, it hasn't been annihilated. While Diablo laughed loudly, he analyzed it calmly. Exactly as he stated, only the intact dragon core remained in the center of the tetrahedron. Although colorless, it was a mysterious orb emitting a dim shine. Everyone was captivated as if their minds were stolen by the orb. However, that would lead to carelessness. The Berserk Dragon 0, without thinking about his own destruction, tried to take, at the very least, one of them along with him as his last breath's struggle. He predicted that if one corner of the tetrahedron was destroyed, the power trapped inside Absolute Barrier would swallow everyone in this place. Zero's instinct couldn't understand it, but if he succeeded, it would deal a massive amount of damage to the main body of Ramorous Labyrinth. As his malevolent instinct demanded, Zero mustered the last bit of his power to stretch out his tentacle. That tentacle went towards Dino's group. The first one to react was Garasha. She pulled Pico and threw her towards Dino. She protected Pico from the tentacle with her own body, but that was her limit. When the tentacle grasped Garasha, it dragged her into Absolute Barrier. From inside Pico's arm, who had lost her balance, Gaia jumped to Garasha while it cried QI. Everything happened instantaneously. Garasha. Although Dino shouted, he couldn't move. Because he understood that if he moved now Absolute Barrier would collapse. I'll stop. You'll disappear if you enter it. Dino stopped Pico, who was about to jump in. Needless to say, the power inside wasn't something she could endure. Even if he did that, Dino knew that he would end up losing Pico as well. Damn it. If only I didn't let my guard down. Dino lamented, but he couldn't do anything. He had no other choice but to give up. But, then, Garasha, and also Gaia will. Pico appealed to Dino while thinking about her companion. But, Pico understood it too. There was nothing she could do. I don't like things like this. Dino. Just one. If there was just one possibility. Listen, I will give you my strength. I'll give you all of my power, so please maintain absolute barrier with it. Garasha won't last long if she gets dragged into the center. So, rest assured. I'll go and save her quickly. But, that. Believe me. I'll do it right away as there's no time. Dino started to take preemptive action. Although the tentacle itself had already disappeared, it would be impossible for Garasha to get back to Dino's with her own strength. In any case, the destructive power produced by the quartet skill would be blocked by absolute barrier and would converge in the center. It would create a powerful gravitational force towards the center, and consign everything into oblivion beyond the event horizon 7. In order to escape from there you would need to exceed the speed of light, which was practically impossible. The space was too distorted and unstable, so activating transfer was out of the question. There was no more time to spare. The burden on Garasha would increase exponentially the closer she got to the center. Because Garasha was an awakened demon lord class who specialized in defense, she could only manage to maintain her barrier somehow. Then, brace yourself. The energy transfers will begin. There's no need for that. At the moment when Dino tried to transfer his power to Pico, a voice could be heard from Dino's pocket. And then the small, round orb shone brightly. It was the pseudo-core Rimuru used to play with, which Dino got from Zijin before the plan started. As the orb floated and drifted in the subspace, it shone intensely just for a moment. And then, a feminine figure manifested from it. That person suddenly appeared in front of Dino with his bluish-silver hair fluttering. And then that person tapped Dino's shoulder lightly, while jovially said, "Well then, I'm going out for a bit," and flew into absolute barrier where a storm of power raging inside. Garasha saw her life flash before her eyes like a revolving lantern 8. She had gotten caught by the tentacle while trying to save Pico. At that point, she had given up on her life. Because she couldn't believe that a fallen angel like her, nonetheless an awakened demon lord class, would be able to withstand the vortex of ultra-high-density destructive energy that could even destroy a true dragon. As she approached the center, the burden on Garasha's body increased. Even so, she still could hold on herself, thanks to Gaia, the small dragon inside her embrace. Gaia had a hard time assisting Garasha's defense barrier, they barely succeeded in neutralizing the destructive power. But, it was only a matter of time. A quartet skill of 4 of the most powerful beings in this world. It produced an unimaginable destructive power which this world had never experienced before. Garasha's senses couldn't understand the extent of its greatness. "You're a fool, aren't you? There was no need for you to follow me. It's a pity, but I can't help you anymore." "QI." Garasha muttered so and gently patted Gaia who was in her embrace. And then, she resigned herself to fate and calmly waited for her impending doom. But, that time never came. The reason why was. That was a close call. If Seal was just a little bit late in creating a new ability, we would have lost Gaia. If that happened, I can't even imagine how angry Milim would be. I get the shivers just by thinking about it. Not to mention, Dino tried to jump in to help them, there's a better place for such recklessness. Even if there were 2 people of awakened demon lord class, I wasn't sure they can reach the speed of light. It was a black hole. Not even light could escape, so even if they reached 99% the speed of light, it would still be meaningless. They might be able to escape if they haven't reached the core yet, but it will be a very risky gamble. It isn't something you can do it somehow just with willpower. So, how could I do it? Naturally, I wouldn't do something like moving beyond the speed of light. And yet, there was a simple reason why I could say that I ended up fine. If you can stop time, you don't have to think about speed. That's the freedom to move beyond the speed of light. But, I didn't need to do that this time. because I can neutralize it to a certain degree with Nihility Barrier 9 of my Nihility Collapse. Things that come into contact with the barrier are assimilated and converted into Nihility energy. That's the characteristic of Nihility Barrier. Instead of escaping, endure it till the end. This may be the only way. Well, even if it fails by any chance, I will be absolutely safe. After all, it's because the new ability Seal had created, multiple existence was incorporated into ultimate skill Void God Azathoth. It was an ability seal made after she finished analyzing ultimate skill Evil Dragon Azathoth. I could create clones which all connected with this ability. Thanks to this ability, I didn't need to be cautious of Velda anymore. Thus I revealed myself, but I think that it was still impossible, even for Velda, to sense me in this subspace. Still, I shouldn't carelessly rule out the worst-case scenario. However, there's no problem for now. Even if he sensed me in isolated Ramaris Labyrinth, my clone which can also called as my main body still exists in the imaginary space. If Velda did isolate the labyrinth, there's a possibility that the connection with the main body will be cut off, but it will be easy to ascertain that if both sides detect each other. After all, both are me. It's a weird sensation, but parallel thought works without much difficulty, so there's no problem even when doing different actions. It wasn't a half-baked version like the one Vega used. It could be said that since Seal had completed this multiple existence ability, destroying me would be a nigh impossible task. Each of my multiple existence were connected through the soul corridor. That being said, I was still in the practice stage. It's the stage where I can't manifest unless I use the orb that I used to play with before. Oh well, if I keep on practicing soon I'll able to do it easily. So, even in the unlikely event that I die, it would end with just the orb being broken. Even in this situation, wondering how to soothe Milim's temper is a bigger problem for me, but that was just another story. Yo, you are. Garasha, Dino's companion, who I saved together with Gaia, asked me while looking at me with surprised eyes. I thought I knew her face, but I guess this was our first meeting. AHH. Nice to meet you. I'm Demon Lord Rimuru. I greeted her within the barrier. Garasha looks speechless and couldn't speak properly. Is she nervous? Oh well, I don't mind. Thus, I was able to retrieve both Gaia and Garasha safely. Now all we needed to do was to wait till the storm calmed down. As I thought that, I saw the dragon core in the center of the tetrahedron. If you had that, you might become a real true dragon too. I nonchalantly said so to Gaia who was being hugged by Garasha. That was a blunder. I didn't particularly plan to say so, and yet. QI. Gaia jumped out from my nihility barrier with an enthusiastic cry. Wait dash, you. I called out, but it was already too late. By the time my voice came out, Gaia was already outside the barrier. And then, Gaia got disintegrated instantly after being exposed to the ultra-high dense energy outside my barrier. The orb which represented Gaia broke apart and disappeared. That means Gaia has been annihilated. As expected of Master. I thought the same thing too. What do I need to do for Milim to forgive me? While I was thinking about such thing, I heard Seal's calm voice. Huh? What are you saying, Seal? I questioned, but it can't be helped. It's like I had led Gaia to suicide. It would be something that Milim will never forgive me for even if it was unintentional. I didn't really mean it when I said that Gaia can become a real true dragon. It can't be? At the same time that I thought of the possibility, the dragon core conspicuously glowed and flickered at the center of the tetrahedron. You're aware that a true dragon won't really disappear, right? The same also applies to Zero, who had become the insane, destructive, berserk evil dragon. He will revive again somewhere in the world and will just try to accomplish his mission as the berserk evil dragon that was given to him by Velda. That's the reason why Velda created the pseudo-dragon core called Evil Dragon Lord Azathoth. However, this matter will be different if a new heart arises inside that dragon core. If it's Gaia who has fragments of dragon factor, it can be said that he possesses enough qualifications for it. As Seal's explanation ended, a miracle was happening outside the barrier as if to prove her right. In short, Gaia became a true dragon. I was just joking, but for my joke becoming reality is just scary. As there's a saying, truth comes out of falsehood. 10, the words I said have really come true. Gaia got disintegrated instantly, but the heart that held the will reached the dragon core. Then, it seems Gaia has succeeded in taking it over. In the end, Seal removed the insanity from it. All of the raging energy was suppressed and a beautiful blue dragon has manifested. Excluding me, Gaia can be called as the fifth true dragon. After all, I'm not really strictly a true dragon. Gaia's body gave off an azure gleam more radiant than a jewel. Unlike Feldera and his siblings, Gaia was shaped more like an oriental dragon. Is Gaia Feldera's younger brother or younger sister? Whichever Gaia chooses to be, getting a new sibling is a good thing for that guy. QI. Gaia gleefully raised a happy cry. It doesn't seem he can speak yet. Although he gained wisdom and knowledge fast enough, I guess that is because he was just now born. Haha, to think you would really succeed. Well done, Gaia. Oh right, in this opportunity, I'll think of a nickname for you as well. Feldera was called Storm Dragon while Vilgrind was Scorch Dragon. If he becomes their younger brother/sister, Gaia should also have an official name. Okay. Alright, I've decided it. You're Earth Sovereign Dragon 11 from now on. As you're Feldera's brother, how about calling you as Earth Sovereign Dragon, Felgaia? As he's glittering, I just named him without hesitation. That was the moment of the birth of the fifth dragon, Earth Sovereign Dragon, Felgaia. As the surrounding power storm vanishes, absolute barrier has disappeared too. A beautiful dragon was born while the threat was gone. Diablo, Benimaru Zijin, and even Dino and Co. I see everyone flying towards me. However, since I was deprived of a lot of magic essence because of the naming, it became difficult to maintain my clone's existence. Hey, even this count as naming too. Obviously. The last thing I heard was Seal's amazed voice before I confirmed that the connection with the orb had been cut. You are reading this in Guro's place. 1. Dayton no OU, Rushifaru. I'm using Lucille in order to differentiate it with Guys. BTW Guys Lucifer is using Rushifa. Some stories told that Lucille probably was Lucifer's true name before his fall. BTW, this like how there's Lucifer and Lucilius in GBF even though their katakana means the same in English. 2. Tenkyu no OU, Rushifaru. 3. Zekai, absolute boundary/barrier. 4. Tenma Sujkiha, 4 Unkurosido, equals Heaven Demon Supreme Twin Strike. 5. Yonju Yofukuga Zetsuji, Quartet Skill, equals Quadruple Combined Special Move. 6. Zigaki Tsuyoku Metsuhakari Ho, Birakudan Nasudaruhia, equals Absolute Reminiscence Strike of the Disintegration Light. Whatever with the kanji XD. 7. Event Horizon is boundary marking the limits of a black hole. At the event horizon, the escape velocity is equal to the speed of light. Since general relativity states that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, nothing inside the event horizon can ever cross the boundary and escape beyond it, including light. Thus, nothing that enters a black hole can get out or can be observed from outside the event horizon. 8. Revolving Lantern, Sumatu, refer to the flashback phenomenon before death according to Asian superstitions. The flashback is often compiled of happy memories that one had experienced within his or her lifetime. 9. Kyomukekai. 10. Variation is, many a true word is spoken in jest. 11. Kaite Ryu, Earth Monarch/Emperor Dragon. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 234, Archangel's Domination. Archangel's Domination. I could recover relatively easy from the sleep mode this time. Or rather, it would be more accurate to say that the connection to my clone was cut. My main body was still hiding in imaginary space. Even if one of my parallel existences spent too much power, it turned out that there was no effect on the main body. I guess I could say that we had carried out an unplanned experiment this time. In truth, the main body wasn't affected only because Seal had cut off the connection. She really is a reliable partner. So, it was normal that I woke up so quickly. I just have to reconnect with the orb once more. I was being carried to the control room when I woke up. It seemed everyone had promptly escaped from the subspace. I guess that's expected since there's no more business there. Thanks to my energy being deprived by Gaia, my presence was faint. I figured that it would be fine since I didn't need to worry about Velda noticing me like this. My main body was recovering energy in imaginary space. It felt really weird having two consciousnesses at the same time. Well, I had to start getting used to it. After all, it was very convenient. For argument's sake, even if Velda had tried to seal the labyrinth when he noticed my presence, I could now grasp Velda's present position with my real body and multiple parallel existence. Being able to be in two places at once is more convenient than I imagined. I didn't think I really had to worry about being discovered, but I preferred to avoid trouble as much as possible. I didn't want to alert Velda of my presence yet, since I wanted to catch him off guard when I took action. For better or worse, the clone I was possessing through the orb had an energy level close to that of a human, since the majority of its strength hadn't recovered yet. I decided to make use of this state and let the connection of the energy with my main body remain blocked. The clone could also recover its energy naturally, but I also suppressed that. With this, I can appear in front of everyone without worries. Gaia was laying on top of my stomach. He should have grown with an elongated large body about 20 m long, but it seems he had reverted to his 50 cm long mini Dora form now. Apparently, he still can't humanize, so he reverted to his previous form. It was really interesting to see whether he would become a male or a female. However, I figured it would take a while for that to be shown. It seemed I woke up right when I was about to be laid down on a chair. I got up from the chair and caressed Gaia. "Rimuru-sama, you have woken up." Noticing my movement, Diablo asks me reverently. I nod and answer him with yeah. And then, I received the explanation about what happened while I was unconscious. Several things had occurred after I went to sleep mode. First off, something happened to Gaia. When I named him Felgaia, his power stabilized into a true dragon class and he awakened a fearsome ability. Inherent Skill All Creation Embodiment 1. This is a special skill that combines Arms Creation 2 and Material Transformation 3 that the demons use. However, its scale and quality are on a different level. It is an outrageous ability comparable with Ramirus Labyrinth Creation. After all, it can be said that it has an incredible power that makes Gaia capable of reproducing things from memory. As an example, it seems that he can recreate 75 floors of the labyrinth that should have been eaten by Zero. Such a thing is impossible even for Feldera-san, who is his older brother. Gaia may be better than his older brother. Well, although his maximum energy is no match against the other true dragons, he's still a child. I think a lot can be expected from him in the future. By the way, Gaia's buddies, our avatars, were also amazing. From the story I heard from Zijin, the avatars, which had switched to auto mode, were wandering around the labyrinth and they even attacked Zijin following their instinct. They became a party of 5 with Gaia joining. It seemed they were able to defeat Gozaerl and Mazurl and their character became very aggressive. Nevertheless, what were they thinking that make them attacking Zijin? It doesn't make sense that they were that foolish that they didn't notice how strong the opponent was. No, did they attack him because they knew he was a strong opponent? I don't think they are that aggressive, but even getting defeated can give you experiences. That's why you may be able to see it as an intentional challenge. It isn't strange of me to think that they are following our personalities as their hosts. Milim, Feldera, and Ramirus can only be said as a very aggressive bunch. Although, it seems unbelievable seeing how much of a pacifist I typically am. The first attack came from Rimuru-sama's avatar, the ghost. Immediately after the smoke screen from the flames there was a strike from the ceiling by the slime. As I flinched, Gaia increased the gravity and the skeleton and the living armor launched their rush attack. Their coordination was splendid. Zijin praised them by saying these words. I am shocked to hear how hyper my avatar's personality was. Or rather, I'm surprised that they became strong enough to earn Zijin's praise. Well, it seems it was a difficult fight because Zijin was careful to not destroy our avatars. Ramirus and the others gleefully said naturally. Oh well, it was only Ramirus who was so excited when we were using the avatars, so it might not be surprising if her memory had taken them over. Because guessing from how Ramirus' personality is, they probably lost their self-control. She's too pitiful for me to throw out at Tsukamai. Anyway, I felt they were praiseworthy enough to make Zijin impressed. With Gaia restoring the labyrinth inside is switching back to its normal mode. Everyone who was evacuated is preparing to return to their respective floor. Although the battle zone was desolate, Ramiris could restore them. So much from the so-called invasion, the damage was negligible. It's a total victory for the Labyrinth defense team. But, this isn't the end. There are still 600,000 personnels from the Angel Army waiting in the sky. The discussion they had until I woke up was, who will go to intercept the angels in the sky? Since everyone is so motivated, there seems to have been no conclusions for who will go. It made me realize again that we are full of battle maniacs. When I asked Benimaru, he seems to have taken countermeasures for the time being. As he didn't know how the interception inside the labyrinth would end up, he had prepared ambush troops. It seems the plan was to wait for Kumara's return and then have her and her subordinates who are hiding in the forest to attack together. But, because things have progressed better than he expected, the remaining hot-blooded people made a fuss. Their leader was Apito. She looks unsatisfied because she stopped in the middle of tormenting Dino. In the end, it was decided that Apito will be the one who will head out. This was all what they had decided before I woke up. The meeting continued and the decision was left up to me. There were a lot of other people who wished to participate too. Trainee, the Dryad, and her sisters who are entrusted with the labyrinth management, and the hundreds of Treants, whom I gave temporary bodies with cultured magic dolls, are eager to fight. The labyrinth has become a sanctuary for them, they think of opposing those who invade it. Especially, since they were taking a break from their works as the adventurers' acceptance is suspended currently and they have to stay confined in the city inside the labyrinth. In short, they have too much spare time. As they are a rank Magin class full of motivation, there's no need to pour cold water onto their burning spirit. I listened to their complaints and accepted their participation in the counter-attack strategy. By the way, although Ramiris had accepted the matter easily, their most important concern was about repairing their body. There are some oppositions by reasoning that it will be inexcusable if the body that I made for them is damaged. I just need to make them a new one if that happens. On the contrary, fighting forces that are not afraid of death is valuable, so I gladly accepted their proposal. Then, I see the 4 Dragon Kings standing to protect Ramiris. We also wanted to rampage, but we had to prioritize protecting Ramiris. I could read such intention from their expressions. While I'm Smile Riley, I called out them. You guys want to go too, right? But, we are. I'll appoint Zijin to guard Ramiris, there's Benimaru here too. Go rampage as you guys want. You guys don't have many chances to fight seriously after all. You're fine with that, right, Ramiris? It's fine. You guys should go. But, as my subordinates, I won't forgive you if you guys lose. Ramiris glanced and easily gave her permission to the Dragon Kings who are looking at her. In a few words, the participation of the 4 Dragon Kings was decided. In the end, the Dragon Strike Corps 4 is led by the 4 Dragon Kings. The Demonic Beast Corps 5 is led by Empress Kumara and her subordinates, her 8 pets 6. Queen Apito produced the 3 Demon Insect Generals, each of them makes up the top 4 of the Demon Insect Corps 7. These are the Angels Interception Force. Moreover, there are also the A-rank Dryads and Treants who are acting separately. As the Demon Insect Corps was just formed, their numbers were few. However, the 3 Demon Insect Generals, Spider, Mantis, and Butterfly, seem to be strong corps commanders who not only have the ability to regulate command but also possess considerable fighting prowess. Moreover, these 3 generals, whom Apito brought forth, produced their own soldiers. Although, for the time being, their ability seems to be creating only low-class soldier, it's a ruthless, unfeeling army, just like the insects they are. Apito looks pretty emotionless herself, but it would be rude to say it. Because they are soldiers created from her ability, it compensated their low numbers to some extent. It was decided that all of the powerful forces from the 70th floor and below will participate in the battle this time. Come to think of it, this time would be the first sortie for the top corps of the Labyrinth Army. They have a slightly different ambience from Adalman's Immortal Legion. Although they are losing in numbers, they aren't inferior in quality, so I don't have to worry about them. The Dragon Strike Corps led by the 4 Dragon Kings who possess Dreadnought Warship class range attack capability are also participating. With our war potentials, there's no need to be afraid of the angel army whose commander can't move flexibly on her own. I instructed Benimaru to cooperate with them so that the casualties are to be kept minimum as much as possible and decided to leave the rest to them. The interception matter had been settled. Next is about Dino's group who were relaxing. Dino is lying on the couch and drinking tea elegantly. You could never guess he was an enemy few moments ago, he's relaxing so naturally it seems like he's at home, you know? And meanwhile this part of the control room is still in a battle state. It's as if he says, "It already has nothing to do with me." Dino was thinking that it's someone else's problem. Hey! What are you relaxing for? Seems like Benimaru finally snapped about Dino, who is asking Shana for his tea refill like it's normal. Benimaru endured this pretty well. He put the matter off since he was busy, but as the personnel selection for the interception was over, he now had the time to tackle the problem. Dino. Well, the fighting is already over, so I'm written as a formidable enemy, read as a friend, right? 8. Besides, didn't I work hard? I also cooperated to defeat Zero. Dino declared ostentatiously. He is winking slightly, which is quite annoying. It seems it really irritated Benimaru as he's the one Dino speaks to. Oh well, that is expected. Even I got annoyed just by looking at him. But, it seems even Benimaru gave up complaining as he considered that Dino's status is more or less one of the demon lords. Meanwhile, the two women besides Dino were devouring the cakes. This. It's so super tasty. There are 3 pieces left so I can eat one more, right? Pico, don't eat in such rush. I shall declare that I will be the one who eat the last piece. Huh? What are you saying? I have the right for it too. Hey. That piece is not left, it's mine. You guys don't have rights for it. Dino, who was speaking with Benimaru, went to secure his own share of the cake in panic. Looking at that, Benimaru sighs. In the end, a decent conversation couldn't ensue until Dino and Co finished eating their cake. After a short break, we began inquiring and listening about this time's circumstances from Dino and Co. According to him, he apparently had received thought guidance from Velda. So, although it makes me angry of the way he keeps saying it wasn't his fault, it seems he's not lying. I can only doubt my ear when I heard Dino saying, unlike Yuuki's, don't you think it's possible for him to use Justice Lord Michael's forced control with the Angel series skill as the medium? Huh? So you are saying that there's a possibility to be controlled by Justice Lord Michael if you possess ultimate skill of Angel series? I can't say it for sure, but that's the only thing I could think of. There's no way a smart person like me is being deceived, right? Dino, the idiot, is saying whatever he pleases. I guess I can ignore him. But, could that be possible? Wisdom Lord Raphael and Covenant Lord Uriel that I possess are of the Angel series after all. If what Dino's thinking is correct, wouldn't I have been in a pinch when Yuuki stole Justice Lord Michael in the Empire capital? That's, just probably though, if you possess Demon series skill, you can resist it, I guess? Although I think you can't do it unless you completely mastered the skill and aware of it. I see. I guess it does sound coherent if you think about it in that way. That's right. Please bear in mind that since I had deployed multiple barrier of gluttonous Lord Beelzebub and Covenant Lord Uriel, it became possible to defend against any kind of physical or mental attack before it even happens, Seal Sensei. I see, if that's the case then I can agree why I never got controlled. However, although I have prevented it without knowing, I guess it was outside of Yuuki's calculation. The reason why a bad guy like him quickly gave up and retreated was that his trump cards were all crushed. If that's so, then there's a risk of being controlled for those who possess Angel series ultimate skill. If I say about those with Angel series skill, anyone comes into mind? Dunno. I have lived for a long time, but I never had any interest in what skill other people have. I only know that Dagruel was simply strong. At least, if it's guy he might know, but I was foolish expecting Dino to know about it. I guess Leon would be one of them. Then, that guy named Kondu who was in the Empire. But, that person has already died. I guess I don't have to worry about it, as there are just a few people who possess Angel series skill in the first place. After all, I possess 2 of them. Next. Among the people I know, I think Vulgrind has won. That reminds me, when we revived Leon, I also had analyzed Purity Lord Metatron. Although I had restrained myself from tampering with it without permission, as expected, it seems to be a mistake. As there was a root of unknown usage in Vulgrind's Charity Lord Ragel, I have removed it when optimizing it. Since I added a mechanism in the blank part, there might be something different according to her free will. At the very least, I think she won't fall under Justice Lord Michael's control. That's it. Seal reported like it was nothing important, but it might be that part that became the marker for the domination. As usual, Seal has splendidly gone and done things as she pleases without my knowledge. She complains about how selfish I am, but Seal might not lose in selfishness either. I wonder who she took after. Oops, it would be bad if I say any further. There's no doubt that she is the most reliable and capable partner. If there's someone else who owns Angel Series ability, it would be Felderasan's other older sister, the Ice Dragon Veltsard, I guess? Don't tell me Chloe has one too? I assumed the possibility that Ice Dragon Veltsard has an ultimate skill of the Angel Series. Moreover, I can't deny the possibility that Chloe Aubert has one concealed too. There's no use to be worried about things that I don't understand. First, I'll contact Leon and tell him to not go out of the barrier. Perhaps, Guy had anticipated this development, which is why he appointed Misery to Leon's side. If that's the case, it might have been fortunate that Guy was in that place together with Chloe, Veltsard, and also Vulgrind. If it's Guy, he will manage it somehow. He's far more capable and reliable than this unreliable lazy bum in front of me. No, it would be rude to compare him with Dino. Although he was unwilling at first, Felderasan is now heading to that place too. I felt he was quite unreliable when it came to dealing with his sisters, but he would manage it somehow or another. Let's think so. As for me, I just want to beat Velda immediately at this rate. I have acquired multiple parallel existence 9 through a lot of efforts, but I want to avoid dividing my power. Or rather, since there's just one energy furnace 10, the recovery rate will not get faster even if I divided myself. The clones all have the same power level, so they would be useful if I use them correctly. Things will work out somehow once I defeated Velda, so I decided to believe in Guy and Felderasan, who are in the Northern Land. 1 Banbutsu Gujen, all things / all creation embodiment / incarnation / avatar / personification. 2 Bugusuzu, arms / armor creation. 3 Bushutsu Henkin, material / substance transformation / conversion. 4 Ryugeki Gundam, dragon attack / strike / assault core. 5 Yajuyo Gundam, supernatural / demonic beast core. 6 The 8 beast named by Rimuru, Byakugan the white ape, Caucus the black rat, Reiko the thunder tiger, Geto the moon rabbit, Yuta the winged snake, Mink the drowsy sheep, Anko the flame bird, and Igami the mirror dog. BTW, the kanji is Hakei Bushuya, which means the 8 legions in Buddhism. In chapter 157, the furigana was Peto. 7 Mamushi Gundam, demon insect core. 8 Does Dino just break the 4th wall? Kick. 9 Tajuyu Aretsu Sante. 10 Eneroji Iro. Energy hearth / kill. A single source which produces / recovers energy. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 235, In the Northern Land First Part. In the Northern Land First Part. As Vulgrind confronted Veltsard, she observed the latter's beautiful appearance. Her whole body emanated pure white radiance, and her scales that are whiter than pearls were like jewels which enthralled anyone who saw them. Ice Dragon Veltsard was undoubtedly the figure of the strongest dragon. However, right now, her usual blue diamond eyes that were filled with gentleness were dyed by anger like the raging seas and let off a deep crimson glow. Looking at those eyes, Vulgrind suddenly wondered why her older sister, Veltsard, is recognizing Velda as the same person as their older brother, Stellar Lord Dragon, Veldanava. At the very least, it was difficult to imagine that Veltsard, who had strong willpower equal to or higher than Vulgrind, has received some kind of mind control. And above all else, Veltsard's specialty was specializing in all kind of defenses. Additionally, Veltsard owned ultimate skill Patience Lord Gabriel. the ultimate defense specialization ability created from Veltsard's iron will. Combining her original nature and her defense aspect, there was no doubt that Veltsard had the strongest ability. And, what proved this was Veltsard's unshakable iron will. Patience Lord Gabriel was born out of her strong heart that is unfazed by anything. That meant she had calm observing eyes that won't be deceived by anything and an immovable mind. It was unthinkable for Veltsard to have mistaken her own older brother. Certainly, there was no doubt that Velda had felled in Ava's memories. But Vilgrind thought that this didn't prove that her older brother and Velda was the same person. Did Veltsard think otherwise? However, in her long life, Vilgrind had rarely seen Veltsard revealing her emotions. But right now, she was beside herself with rage and went mad with jealousy. Her appearance now was far too different from the normal Veltsard. Vilgrind felt a sense of incongruity from that appearance. Moreover, there was something strange about her words to Rudra. The words Veltsard had spat out, "He's just a human, after all," seemed to lack of sentiments towards an old acquaintance. Right, as if all of her emotions had been squeezed out by negative emotions such as jealousy and anger. As expected, I can't think of anything but that Naysan is being controlled. Vilgrind concluded so. If that was the case, she declared that it was necessary to make Veltsard come to her senses. But, Vilgrind, more than anyone else, knew that it wouldn't be easy. Certainly, if it was Vilgrind, she could fight Veltsard evenly. However, that was if it was only a kind of quarrel between siblings. If both of them fought seriously with the intention to kill, Vilgrind would 100% lose to Veltsard. Possessing the highest energy after Veldanava and the ultimate defense. That was Veltsard. Although one might say that Vilgrind specialized in offensive, she couldn't break through Veltsard's defense. Similarly, Veltsard's offensive power couldn't inflict a fatal blow on Vilgrind. It was the reason why it could be perceived as equal by the surroundings, but the circumstances were actually different. Burning breath, one that Vilgrind breathed out, which was a simultaneous multi-attack, was dispersed by diamond dust 2 blowing from Veltsard, only to bloom as large fire flowers in the air. However, freezing breath 3 that Veltsard breathed out was evaporated by cardinal rain 4 that blooming around Vilgrind. Both of them didn't receive damage, but the aftermath of the attacks would deal a big effect on the icebound world. And so, even a fight between the two that appeared equal, gradually showed who's superior and inferior. This is odd, so Vilgrind was the one who realized it. Normally, in case of an all-out battle like this, Vilgrind should have lost due to the difference in maximum energy. It was something that won't get noticed unless both of them used all of their power, but there's a clear difference in energy consumption between them. No, there was. If it was Vilgrind from before, her power should have gradually weakened due to the difference in their energy recovery rate. However, right now, it was quite strange that her body was in great shape. Her prided ability, ultimate skill Charity Lord Ragel, was also handling energy more efficiently, unlike before. It had reacted to Vilgrind's will and responded to her feelings without causing any momentary error. Fufu, you've improved, Vilgrind. I still have a long ways to go, Naysan. Vilgrind responded lightly to a fairly surprised Veltsard's words. In fact, Vilgrind still had more energy to spare. There could only be one reason that caused this. Yes. This must be the deed of that bad friend 5 of her brother, Feldera, that questionable slime named Rimuru. Even Vilgrind's strongest technique, cardinal acceleration, didn't work on him. He even had evolved into a true dragon that is equal to them, becoming an abnormal existence. He surpassed Vilgrind easily, an unthinkable absolute being 6. Vilgrind thought that even if he had dragon factor, she couldn't acknowledge such a suspicious person as her own younger brother. But, he was her benefactor who listened to her request and freed Rudra. And above all, that slime was the one who manifested Vilgrind, and she certainly had pledged her cooperation to him. If that was so, there was no need to hesitate at all. The only thing that bound her down right now was her troubled heart. Who is Rudra's enemy? Who is Velda? She didn't care about such things. The important thing was she didn't like Velda, only that. He had swindled the name of her beloved older brother and manipulated her only older sister. She would never forgive a person like that. If there was someone who tried to tie them down, who were originally free beings, it would be their right to declare that person as their enemy. At the very least, Demon Lord Rimuru didn't bind Valgrind down. Then, as long as he was worthy of her trust, Valgrind wouldn't break her promise with Demon Lord Rimuru. Valgrind thought it was impossible for her to win due to the difference of the absolute value of energy. However, that thought was wrong. Because she had been eaten by Demon Lord Rimuru, Valgrind had been reborn stronger than how she was before. Well, I'll make you at ease soon, Nei-san. Don't get conceited, Valgrind. I'm also busy, let's us finish this farce quickly. Their gazes interlocked. And then, both of them let their violent energy escalate and their clash grew even more intense. Guy and Chloe continued their fight with just their swords. They weren't serious against each other. However, it was a high-level fight at a level that couldn't be recognized by others. As if he was having fun, Guy had his attention focused on the clash between the dragon sisters in the air instead of his own fight. Therefore, he was the first person who noticed it. An angel of light had come to visit them from the sky. That is. Guy muttered softly. However, everything was already too late. Guy had certainly seen that angel smile. Hey! You two, here. Before Guy's warning reached them, a spherical space barrier 7 had appeared on the northern land. And then, a beautiful woman's voice echoed. Ultimate Dominion 8. Guy predicted everything instantly. Everyone in this area except Guy had been affected by the ability just now. However, it was a rare event for Guy, as his comprehension would be wrong. Lucia let out a loud laughter. Everything was as Velda expected. No, it was beyond his expectations, the best possible situation was in place. As much as to say that for this moment, she had revised the plan numerous times while preparing for this situation. It was convenient now that Chloe wasn't being controlled smoothly. In any case, the body of the strongest hero would become one with Lucia, who was Velda's right hand. And then, she would obtain the two true dragon. She would put them under her complete control with the Angel Series ultimate skill as the medium. It was one of the hidden ability of ultimate skill Justice Lord Michael. In this northern land, the strongest beings would have their final showdown. Valgrind, who was worried about her sister, Veltsard, would surely make an appearance there too. That was Velda's prediction. For some reason thought transmission didn't reach Valgrind, but it was impossible for her to resist it if the ability was used directly. This was Velda's plan, he who had extensive knowledge about the principles behind the abilities. While forcing Guy to stay put, she was going to put Veltsard and Valgrind under her rule completely. Next was the awakened hero, Chloe Aubert. Even if she was called the strongest hero, she was just a human in the end. As she had served her purpose in this stage, she was such an insignificant being that it wouldn't become a problem even if she was to be disposed of. However, it was a different story if she owned ultimate skill Hope Lord Surreal. Now, such a thing as Chloe's life and death was nothing but a trivial matter. But, if she was looking for a prime body to incarnate into, there was no other body as wonderful as Chloe's. Strong and beautiful. She had reached the realm of God with a mortal body. Indeed, it could be said as a new body suitable to be obtained by Lucia in this world. Unlike Lucia's corpse that was given to her by Velda, her god, Chloe's body was specialized in combat. What made that possible was thanks to the new ability granted to her by Velda, Multiple Existence. Lucia's ability was ill-suited for splitting her energy using multiple existence. After all, she existed because Lucia's body was used as the vessel of her real main body 9. More than anything, the body which was the vessel of her spirit didn't possess the capability to create multiple clones. This didn't mean that Lucia was inferior, it just means that Rimuru, who could create them freely, was abnormal. Anyway, even Feldera and Valgrind had their physical bodies created by Rimuru's ability. As Lucia couldn't duplicate the body freely, multiple existence was like casting pearls before swine. However, if she had prepared a new vessel, she only had to project her consciousness into it. Lucia's body was exclusively for commanding, she only had to let the body wait upon Velda's side in the Sky Castle in order to not get the body injured. And, as a spiritual life form, she would only transfer her consciousness and energy into Chloe's body by using multiple existence. The fact that Chloe was in this situation was proof of Velda's commandment. As Chloe had not been controlled completely even by Yuuki's control skill, she had given them quite of trouble, and Lucia didn't even notice that Chloe had acquired ultimate skill. Hope Lord Surreal. Chloe wasn't the type that would let her guard down, she would hide that ability until she was being cornered into a wall, which was annoying, so Lucia thought. After all, she possessed unique skill Absolute Severance and Infinite Prison, which was too strong for a human like her. But, this time, she was forced to use that hidden ability under Veltsard's serious assaults. Consequently, it was fortunate that this proved that Chloe possessed an Angel Series ability as well. Originally, the plan was to kill Guy for sure. And also include Chloe's disposal. Against Guy, who wouldn't let his guard down, Veltsard and Chloe would be at a disadvantage even if they were together. Not to mention, in the worst case that Guy won, he would get stronger. To prevent an outcome like that, Lucia sought a certain victory, prolonging the fight by making it a three-way fight. So, she ordered Veltsard. In order to strengthen Ultimate Dominion, her plan was to deploy space-type magic circles that prevent escape at the same time as Vulgrind appeared. And so, the strategy succeeded splendidly. The domination was completed just a while ago. For the hero Chloe to be dominated too was just an extra. No matter how strong Guy was, he wouldn't be able to win with the two dragon sisters as his opponents. Meanwhile, Lucia would steal Chloe's body and deal the finishing blow on Guy. It was the best timing for Lucia, who hadn't got incarnated yet. The plan was altered and became more perfect than before. In the place that was a hall, there were the true dragon sisters who returned to their human forms. As Veltsard changed back to her human form, Vulgrind also did the same. Beyond Veltsard's gaze were Guy and Chloe fighting. No, beyond them was a beautiful angel flying down from the sky. She must be the owner of the lovely voice that echoed just after the place was enveloped by the barrier. A user of that curse, no, it should be called as true word, the absolute order language. And so that angel opened her mouth as she landed on the ground. Control yourselves, I'm Velda-sama's right hand, the Archangel of the End 10, Lucia. She introduced herself solemnly, emanating intimidation. Veltsard heard those words and bowed to Lucia as to show her respect. Vulgrind felt it was unpleasant. However, she couldn't understand. Vulgrind followed after her too, even though she felt it was unpleasant. I knew it, it's you. Those words force an absolute control over those with Angel Series ability, don't they? Ha, as expected of you, Guy Crimson. The only person Velda-sama was cautious of. However, it's already too late even if you know about it. What you can do now is only await your death obediently. Shut up. An insect like you shouldn't speak so arrogantly. Guy shouted as he swung his sword at Lucia. But, his sword was easily repelled by the barrier that appeared around Lucia. Lucia smiled as if sneering at Guy and continued her steps towards Chloe. Hearing Guy's words, Vulgrind could also understand the situation. What was happening to her body right now? And, what had happened to her sister body too? Unforgivable. I will never forgive you, Velda. Due to fury and humiliation, Vulgrind was burning with violent emotions to the extent of being dizzy. At the same time, she thought. At this rate, everything will be as Velda's expected. Vulgrind couldn't defy the order. Even if Guy was cunning and was the strongest being, there was no chance for him to win fighting against both Veltsard and Vulgrind at the same time. Lucia seemed to be convinced of her victory as she ignored Guy's attacks as if to say to Guy to do as he likes as she approached Chloe. Chloe Aubert, accept me. Leaving those words, the spirit of multiple existence separated from Lucia and was sucked into Chloe. TCH. As if he was flustered, Guy attacked both Chloe/Lucia, but everything was already too late. A barrier created by Lucia's ability appeared before Chloe. It meant that Lucia had succeeded her incarnation and fused completely with Chloe. Whether he understood that or not, for the first time Guy caught a glimpse of his impatience. Lucia was assured of her victory and smiled. And then, her main body, which finished transferring fragments of her energy and consciousness into Chloe, transferred back to the heaven. Along with the confidence of her victory. The hero's power and Lucia's energy. Right now, a flawless entity was about to be born. Vulgrind could feel despair spreading across the place. However, at that moment, a voice echoed in the place. Kwaya ha 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 ha. I have arrived. 11. A carefree laughter ruined the atmosphere. That voice was filled with hope and blown away even despair. Author note. What is the true identity of that mysterious laughter? Ed, oh yeah. I wonder who it is. 1. Shakunatsutoiki, Binangubursu, scorching breath. 2. Utsakusha Kisaihu, De Yaman de Soto. Beautiful ice crystals / diamond dust. 3. Hyokatsutoiki, Furia Jingubursu, freeing breath. 4. Karenaru Akame, Ka Adanaru rain, brilliant red rain. 5. Ed, Rimuru got Feldera to clean up his act a lot, how is that a bad friend? Guro, she thinks Rimuru is a friend that give bad influence to Feldera XD. 6. Zeta Isha. 7. Shinkyu no Kyukengata Kekai, true sphere-shaped space-type barrier. 8. Tenshiku no Shiai, Meto Dominion, Archangel's control / domination / rule. The kanji is the same as the title of chapter 234. BTW Regalia Dominion is when Michael was in Rudra's hand. 9. This is what happened when two characters have the same name XD. Tenshu Umatsu no Tenshiku. 11. Kamen Rider Den OS reference. Momotaro's catchphrase every time he possesses the MC. Or, Sanjo. It's where here cause Feldera call himself with where. Ed, anyone else imagine this in All Might's voice, Hero Academia. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 236, In the Northern Land Middle Part. In the Northern Land Middle Part. A cheerful laughter echoed inside the hall. When she heard it, Vilgrind regained her composure. She didn't feel anxious anymore about her body being controlled and not moving as she wanted it. A bigger problem than that was that her foolish younger brother, Feldera, could see her current pathetic figure that was being controlled by someone, so Vilgrind thought. That was unpleasant. Very unpleasant. For her disgraceful figure to been seen by him not just once, but twice, Vilgrind thought this would greatly hurt her dignity as an older sister. That fool, it seems he thinks I was being controlled and get carried away. She felt anger boiling up inside her when she heard his loud laughter. When Vilgrind calmed down, she inspected her body carefully once more. As before, her body didn't respond to her own will. However, when she investigated the cause, she noticed that some kind of meddling was done through the ultimate skill engraved deep inside her heart. 1. Is this the reason? A fragile corridor connected to Ultimate Skill Justice Lord Michael was constructed with Ultimate Skill Charity Lord Ragel as the axis. Vilgrind realized that the Ultimate Dominion Lucia had declared was done via this corridor. And, that meant the control circuits were inside the Ultimate Skill itself from the very beginning. In other words, this was the mechanism that older brother created for emergency control, something like that. Vilgrind found out the true nature of the mechanism that manipulated Veltzard and herself in this event. If her older brother was the one who built the mechanism, that meant it would be near impossible to cancel it. Although her despair had disappeared with Feldera's appearance, the situation was still bad. She wanted to click her tongue bitterly, but her body wouldn't do as it was told. Well, what should I do now? At the moment Vilgrind thought so, a mysterious voice echoed deep inside her. If you desire it, I shall grant you even more power. So, the mysterious voice whispered to her. It wasn't something simple like an auditory hallucination, a clear and strong will could be sensed from the voice. It sounded similar to Voice of the World, but a bit soft and refined gentleness could be felt from it. The problem was the meaning behind its words. Even more power, you said? If I obtained it, can I overcome this situation? It's possible, so I assure you. I see, it's possible. Then, there's no need to hesitate. Vilgrind consented without any hesitation. Yes. For Vilgrind, if she could break through this situation, a situation that exposed her unsightly appearance to her foolish younger brother, Feldera, she wouldn't hesitate even if she had to shake hands with the devil. I have confirmed Vilgrind's will. Alteration 2 will be activated. That voice announced. At that moment, Vilgrind felt surges of incredible power. It was emanating from deep inside her and gently enveloped her whole body. Notification. Individual, Scorch Dragon Vulgrind's ultimate skill Charity Lord Ragel has evolved into ultimate skill Flame God Sovereign Thuga 3. Along with fantastic and majestic sounds, Voice of the World loudly announced. However, that voice could only be heard by Vulgrind, since a complete concealment was done. And now, Vulgrind had been liberated from any constraints. Vulgrind's thought halted at the unbelievable occurrence that had occurred to her own body. As the amount of information was too much and too abnormal, Vulgrind, who wasn't the thinking type, couldn't suppress her confusion. But, she didn't care about that sort of thing. Right now, the most important thing than anything else was. There was only one person that came into her mind that could make this phenomenon possible to occur in her body. That aloof slime. Feldera's close friend named Demon Lord Rimuru. It can't be. Could it be that slime? He had fiddled with the control circuit inside the ultimate skill and made it possible to evolve it by incorporating my will and ability to the unnecessary space. That's not on a level of optimization anymore. Such an absurd thing is a technique that only Velda can do if there's another being who can do it then. Vulgrind shuddered as she imagined such an impossibility. She nearly fell into a thought loop of amazement, but she recalled that it wasn't the time for it right now. Her consciousness returned to the reality. Lucia looked at Vulgrind suspiciously, but there was nothing serious to be worried about. As for Vulgrind right now, she could only see the likes of Lucia as an unimportant weakling. Vulgrind's ability had been improved to a terrifying level for her to be able to think so. Phew phew phew, phew ha 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 ha. I was made to go to the place where my two older sisters were. For a moment I thought about what will happen, but it seems the god has not forsaken me. Feldera thought so and felt relief from the bottom of his heart. Her two older sisters were being controlled. They couldn't move with their own will as they were under the control of that angel named Lucia. Taking the advantage of this chance, Feldera would come to their rescue in style. By doing so, her two older sisters would feel grateful to Feldera. And then, they would repent for their oppressions against him until now and apologize to him. That was the scenario that Feldera imagined. I came to this place reluctantly, but I didn't expect that I will stumble across a chance like this. I must give Rimuru my thanks. While thanking his good fortune and his friend's order, Feldera opened his mouth again. Hey guy, you seem to be struggling. But, rest assured. With me here, there is no need to worry anymore. It's you, Feldera. Honestly, I'm grateful. Even for me, it's impossible to release them from the control while fighting them. I understood the principles behind the ability, but its deactivation would be troublesome. Oh? I expected no less from you. Then, as long as their movement is stopped without killing them, it's possible to release them from the control, right? Yes. We could do something if we put all our power into thinking. But, in addition to your sisters, there's that strongest hero. Anyway, we need to disable these three people in front, you know? I think I might have been killed if you didn't come. Quay ah ha 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 ha. If that's the case, you should be grateful to me. Feldera got even cockier than before. Guy had an astounded face, but he said nothing. As he just said, he thought that fighting those three people would be hard even if Feldera was here. Killing them aside, the degree of difficulty jumped severely for disabling them. Rather, Guy thought he wanted to hear the reason why Feldera could be so optimistic. Kukyuku, well then, Guy. You could have the hero as your opponent. I shall quickly show my older sister some of my improvements. When Feldera stopped laughing, he stepped forward with a fearless expression. He walked towards Vulgrind without hesitation. Vulgrind. Kill that fool. Lucia ordered Vulgrind as she coldly gazed at Feldera. And then. Bang. A huge sound echoed inside the hall. Feldera was staring blankly. His cheek was swollen red for some reason. Feldera had his eyes blinking incessantly, thinking about what just happened. Eh? It looks like Anya moved by her own will just now. There was no murderous intent at all, but I felt a strong will to torment me though. Agitation ran through Feldera's heart. It can't be? That's impossible. In front of the reality that he didn't want to acknowledge, a bead of sweat trickled down Feldera's forehead. Hey, Feldera. Just now, did I hear you say you were going to show me something? Or did I misheard it? Vilgrind walked quietly to Feldera with a gentle smile on her beautiful face. However, Feldera knew that she was never a gentle person and that she was the embodiment of this world's terror. Ah, Howa. It wasn't Howa, you damn fool. Vilgrind's fists approached him. Feldera's train of thought stopped operating as if they were paralyzed. It was impossible for him to take an evasive action. Alas, the memories of fear etched in his instinct from his childhood interfered with Feldera's action. An awfully heavy and painful, but damage-less attack hit Feldera. It didn't take much time for Feldera's eyes became teary. Kuh. Isn't this strange? How could Anya move? Weren't you being controlled? Shut up. Did you think that I'll fall for the same trick over and over again? Did you underestimate me? Hey, Feldera. And no, I didn't mean it that way. While trembling, Feldera realized that there was nothing he could do except to wait for his older sister's anger to subside. What is really absurd was that the damage jumped over parallel existence and reached Feldera's main body. The reason for that was... this is sure convenient. I see it's something called space-time continuous strike 5. Whether it's parallel existence or multiple existence, it seems I can deal an attack beyond the space-time with this. 6. Vilgrind nodded pleasingly. Feldera, who heard it, started to look pale. Vilgrind's words meant that his method of escaping by sacrificing one of his clones as the scapegoat was no longer usable. Parallel existence had given him an absolute advantage, but now it had fallen to a meaningless ability. Indeed, it was the birth of the natural enemy of Feldera. Whoa! What have you done, Rimuru? Feldera screamed in his mind. He couldn't think of anyone else other than his close friend, Rimuru, who would give such unnecessary help like that for his older sister, Vilgrind. Vilgrind seemed to be satisfied after hitting Feldera for some time and turned her face towards Veltsard. And, towards Feldera, who was grumbling it was supposed to be the best scene though. Isn't this different from the promise? Vilgrind said. Silence, how unsightly. If you are my younger brother, don't expose more of your foolishness. Feldera, I will leave the hero to you. She's your friend's important person, right? Make sure you don't fail foolishly. I'll be Anyu's opponent. But... how tedious. Are you going to make me say it twice? Understood, Anyu. Feldera understood Vilgrind's words and bowed respectfully. It would be a foolish thing for him to go against his older sister. While rubbing his beaten cheeks, Feldera went towards Lucia, who had possessed the hero Chloe. Looking at Feldera, Vilgrind turned around to say something to Guy. Guy, if it's you, you can annul the control over Anya, right? Yeah, it's possible. However, I can't do it while fighting. No problem. I have my stupid younger brother to deal with the hero Chloe. I want you do your best in releasing Anya from their control. Receiving Vilgrind's request, Guy pondered for a bit. Canceling it might be possible. After all, he had seen the control activation happen before his eyes, so he could understand the principles behind it. The problem was the time required for it. Listen, the cancellation would take quite some time with how I'm right now. Because I need to do a specialized calculation to cancel it, don't expect me for help during that time, okay? By the way, my fighting strength would decrease greatly. If you guys lost, it would be our defeat. Even so, you don't mind, right? No. Hurry up and start it. Guy decided to believe in both of them after he received Vilgrind's approval. He wouldn't disappear even if he got defeated, and in the worst case, he would get revived after several hundred years. A defeat wouldn't be interesting for Guy, who was the strongest, but it wasn't something that he should avoid either. He thought that if it could distract him from his boredom, he had no regret even if it became so. All right. It's pretty annoying for my Veltsard 7 to be controlled forever. I guess I shall release her from it quickly. Saying so, Guy started the ritual of status alteration 8, which he hadn't done in a long time. Vilgrind and Veltsard faced each other. And Feldera walked towards the hero Chloe, in other words, Lucia. It appeared that everyone was confirming their respective opponent. Lucia didn't panic even when she saw it. No, she thought that there was no need to panic. She acknowledged Feldera's strength. Since he had defeated Dagru L2, his strength was the real deal. But, for Lucia. "Oh Veltsard, go kill Vilgrind." She gave a brief order. However, she wasn't calm on the inside due to one problem. It was certain that the control circuits to Vilgrind had been severed. She couldn't think of the cause. Since the control circuits prepared by Velda were impossible to sever unless it was by the controller. The only possible cause she could think of was the loss of the Angel Series ability, either due to an evolution of the ability or degeneration. Could such a phenomenon conveniently occur in a situation like this? Was a question that popped up in her head. But, Lucia stopped thinking too deeply about it. She had an interest in the sample, but she decided that she would think about it later. Although she had raised a question, it didn't affect her fighting forces. She had the strongest true dragon Veltsard under her control. And Lucia herself had become the strongest being too. At the same time Lucia gave an order to Veltsard, she drew the katana that Chloe held. The body moved naturally, an untold swordsmanship could be seen. Lucia had assumed that Chloe's ability had completely become her own and was convinced of her victory. Right now, Lucia's main body was protected by castle guard, but she could go on the offensive because she had possessed the hero Chloe 9. In other words, her main body wouldn't be defeated no matter what happened, so her defeat was impossible. There were no attacks that could work on her. Vilgrind's azure hair spread out and was waving like flames. At the same time, Veltsard's pure white hair also curled up like a blizzard. Both of them moved simultaneously. A large-scale shockwave like a nuclear strike was created as both of them shifted into an all-out fight. Vilgrind's crimson fist howled as it clashed with Veltsard's snow crystal 10 and broke it. Its fragments became diamond dust and rained down over Vilgrind. However, before Vilgrind, who had become the incarnation of the flame god, ice-type attacks had no meaning. The rank between their ability was different. With her strength increased remarkably, Vilgrind approached Veltsard. Since she had left the cancellation of the control to Guy, she only had to earn more time for him. Vilgrind challenged Veltsard as to test her enhanced ability. Feldera took a stance towards Chloe. And then he thought. Why am I barehanded? Chloe had a katana, but why I'm barehanded like this? So he thought something like that, but if he said it right now, it would surely incur her older sister's wrath. Clearly, Feldera knew that Chloe's swordsmanship was the best of the best. There was no one who could rival her. He had experienced it once. He thought that he was at a disadvantage for being unarmed. At that time, he could nullify Chloe's absolute severance because he had the advantage of being a spiritual life form and both of them didn't possess ultimate skill, but he couldn't nullify the current Chloe's sword techniques. After all, Chloe was fighting evenly against Guy until a while ago. This is very bad, so Feldera thought. Well, his troubles were only on the level of, it seems to be painful if I get cut, though. At that moment, a sword pierced the ground in front of Feldera. It was one of the best swords in this world, the demonic sword world. Hey, use that. When Feldera turned around, there was a fiercely beautiful woman beyond his eyes. Her scarlet hair flowed down divinely, the presence of her abundant breasts and round buttocks were emphasized by her slender waist that looked like it could break easily. It was Guy, who had transformed into his female form. Guy, is that you? Ah? Who else do you think is here? It's me, of course. 11. Guy annoyedly replied to Feldera's question. Guy had no fixation over the difference between genders. He didn't care about appearance. Ability was more important than appearance. Different from his male form, which was specialized for combat, his female form was specialized in processing information. Guy thought that it was necessary to raise his information processing power to the maximum in order to cancel the control circuits that had been created by Veldanava. Therefore, he had transformed into his female form after a long time. That was all. Then, I shall use it. Oh. Don't lose, okay. Quahahahaha. What a foolish question. I had thought that I wanted to fight with the hero who got serious once again. This is a good chance for it. I shall fight her seriously too. While saying those words, Feldera regained his confidence with Guy's reply of, well, good luck. He thought that talking to him would be a waste of time. Guy switched his consciousness and put Veltsard into his sight. And just you wait. I'll release you from it right away. Guy concentrated deeply and calmly, which sharpened his ability. Guy's Godspeed calculation 12 raised his normally high processing power to an excited state 13. Guy diverted all of his energy to the calculation without any hesitation and began the spiritual dive 14 towards Veltsard. 1. Kokoro / Shinkeku, Kokoro, Spirit / Hardcore. 2. Nuryoku Kaihen, Oru Teraishan, Ability Modification. 3. Hanukamai / Engine no OU. Blaze / Flame God / Deity Sovereign / Ruler, Thuga. Thuga, the living flame or the burning one, is a great old one, an elemental spirit of fire opposed to the elder gods featured in the H.P. Lovecraft-inspired Thulhu mythos. For Ed note, I feel this is the funniest Feldera moment so far. I almost feel sorry for him, almost. 5. Jakir Renzoku Kajki. 6. Ed, so she can bitch slap across space and time I see. Poor Feldera. 7. Shinreijuru Abu, Voruzado, written trusted partner, read as Veltsard. 8. Jutehenka no Jishiki, ritual of state change / phase transformation / condition alteration. 9. Duatai, Yuushikuro, written as one body, read as Hero Chloe. 10. Yuki Keshutate, Sunukura Sutaru, Snow Crystal Shield. 11. Guy still using or here. 12. Shinsaku Enzen. Enzen is a term for mathematical operations / calculation. Maybe algorithm? 13. Rikijutai. Excited state in quantum mechanics refers to the state of a system that has a higher energy than its ground state, it has higher energy level than normally it has. As in this case, his processing power is over the roof. 14. Kusei Shinkeiku Shinshoku, Superishu Aru Debu. Aggressive hardcore erosion. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 237, In the Northern Land Last Part. In the Northern Land Last Part. Veltsard couldn't hide her surprise and confusion as she saw Vilgrind, who had grown stronger unexpectedly. She felt happy for her younger sister's growth and also rage as she was someone who was obstructing her path. Now Veltsard could only acknowledge that Vilgrind was an unavoidable hindrance for her to kill Guy. Fine, Vilgrind, I shall acknowledge you as my enemy. Once Veltsard acknowledged Vilgrind, she decided to activate her hidden ultimate skill, Envious Lord Leviathan. However, that was an improbable decision for Veltsard's normal train of thought. If she ended up showing her hidden ability as her trump card against Demon Lord Guy Crimson to Vilgrind, it would lose its meaning as a trump card. Veltsard, who should be calm, didn't even realize such a simple thing. No, she couldn't realize it. The order to kill was the only thing left in her mind because of ultimate dominion. For Veltsard to still be able to retain her ego was proof that she had a strong spirit. However, even with such a strong spirit, Veltsard couldn't defy the order of ultimate dominion. After a momentary hesitation, Veltsard unleashed Blades of Envy towards Vilgrind. Vilgrind had realized quickly that she could fight her older sister Veltsard on more than equal terms thanks to Flame God Sovereign Thuga's peerless ability, which had evolved to overcome the control over herself. After all, since she lost in terms of energy, if she just had an equal ability like before, it was clear her defeat was a matter of time. Even now she was still inferior in energy levels, but she could fight her sister equally in terms of energy efficiency. It was a very surprising evolution. And even about the energy. What is this connection, Soul Corridor? As long as I wish for it, an unknown energy will flow into me. Yes, through the Soul Corridor that had been constructed between her and Rimuru, it was possible for her to replenish her energy. Actually, Vilgrind had lost the majority of her magic essence in alteration into Flame God Sovereign Thuga and its Ignition 1, but right after that, energy flowed into her from the Soul Corridor, so her energy was almost completely recovered. She didn't think that she could lose. I feel I won't lose, that was Vilgrind's honest thoughts. However, at that moment, Vilgrind noticed that her older sister's expression changed. Is it coming? Vilgrind put herself on guard. It seems her intuition was right. Veltsard's trump card was activated and sent towards Vilgrind. Whiteout Absorb 2. A strike filled with everything Veltsard has got. It was Veltsard's strongest attack, which combined her own ability Cessation Lost 3 and Patience Lord Gabriel's ability Solidification 4 with also Envious Lord Leviathan's ability Absorb 5. With the attack coming towards her, Valgrind accelerated her own energy to the maximum in order to oppose it. Cardinal acceleration. Two polar lights, white and red, collided. The northern land experienced a severe earthquake, as the falling ice and snow repeatedly sublimated and froze with a death blizzard raging on. The victor was Veltsard. Due to her new ability Envious Lord Leviathan, she had downgraded Valgrind's abilities. Moreover, Veltsard's energy, which should have been exhausted, had recovered for some reason. The essence of Envious Lord Leviathan was to degrade her opponent to below her level. Besides that, it also had the effect of absorbing the opponent's energy. In addition to her absolute defense power and overwhelming Valgrind in terms of maximum energy, Veltsard possessed energy absorption too. Now that her abilities had been downgraded, it seemed impossible for Valgrind to win. It's the end, Valgrind. I shall praise you for growing stronger to be able to oppose me. However, the result won't change. You aren't a threat for me when I got serious. Now, I have downgraded your abilities by 1 level. It's impossible for you to have an advantage against me anymore. That's right. For Veltsard, Valgrind wasn't a threat even if she was an obstacle. Because of the opposition of their abilities, it would be impossible for Valgrind to break through Veltsard's defense. However. But, Nei-san. I don't need to defeat you. Besides, even if my abilities are downgraded, the original acceleration ability has not been affected in any way. Since the abilities only support me, it will not affect me even if I lost them. Valgrind fearlessly declared. In fact, Valgrind's abilities were focused on only one thing, that was acceleration. Now that she had already circulated her energy with full power, it wouldn't affect her even if Flame God Sovereign Thuga was sealed off. And the most important thing was... Hurry up, Guy. Be quick and release Nei-san from their control. Valgrind didn't have to defeat Veltsard at all. Valgrind's victory condition was to earn time until Guy releases Veltsard from Ultimate Dominion. At that time, in Veltsard's Inner World 6, Guy was about to finish the final touches. Passing through multiple mental walls, Guy dove into the abyss of the heart. If he lost his focus, his ego would be swallowed up by Veltsard's soul and the spiritual dive would be broken. Then, Guy's consciousness would disappear. On the other hand, if he pushed forward forcibly with all of his strength, he would destroy Veltsard's heart. If that happened, the result would be Veltsard releasing all her energy after a rampage and a new true dragon would be born somewhere in this world. Guy had to avoid that from happening. Despite being under pressure, Guy passed through the walls without being impatient. Finally, he found it. It was a young spirit of Veltsard sitting hugging her knees. Yo, I've been looking for you, you know. Guy talked naturally and calmly. This was a critical moment. A single mistake would change Veltsard's action for the worse. What is it? What did you come here for? Are you here to laugh at me? Veltsard asked while acting the way she appeared. No, I came to pick you up. Let's go back quickly, Veltsard. Guy shrugged his shoulders and answered. His reply irritated Veltsard. It was always the same. Guy always spoke one-sidedly and arrogantly only to Veltsard. He didn't even care about Veltsard and said things bluntly as if it was natural for him to do so. What is with you? Guy, you never listen to my opinion. It's always me who had to be patient. As the tuner, I had the role to guide this world that my older brother left behind. That's why I always observed you so that you wouldn't go on a rampage. Even though I really hated it. Even Valgrind went freely to the place of the man she loved and Feldera was so carefree and rampaged as he pleased. As for me, I endured it all the time, you know? Everything was because you were acknowledged by my older brother. It was because you were the only being except for my older brother who could destroy this world. I couldn't afford to leave your side, you know. I'm the only one who needed to have patience. And yet, you're going to leave me behind. I will never forgive you for that. Why do you have to support that suspicious slime now? It would have been fine if you lived quietly in this northern land. You oppose my older brother even though there's no way for you to win. Rather than letting you be killed by my older brother, I would rather be the one who will kill you with my own hands. Guy's words sparked a fire inside Veltsard's frozen heart. As she raged, Veltsard threw out all of her displeasure she felt until now. With all of her feelings, she lashed out at Guy with her fierce will. They became imaginary blades which cut at Guy's body, but Guy didn't try to avoid the attack. He just stood there being exposed to the attacks without resistance, as if he tried to accept all of Veltsard's anger and complaints. Besides, you even acknowledged a human, but you never acknowledged me. What am I to you? Even though I always tried my best, because I wanted to be acknowledged by you. There's no place for me at all. Her attacks gradually became weak, and eventually, Veltsard started to hit Guy's chest feebly. Are you an idiot? I acknowledged you, you know? My partner is only you alone. I am an idiot, you said? I don't want to be called that by you, who will always do whatever as you please. I guess nothing can be done about it. If you don't like it, can't you just say it? You are too concerned about boring things, you know. Also, I lost to Veldanava a long time ago, okay? I'll win next time. Before she realized it, Veltsard had stopped hitting Guy. Then, she buried her face in Guy's chest. You are the idiotic one. There's no way you can win. It might be impossible for me alone. So please cooperate with me. You will fight together with me, right? Right, Veltsard. Veltsard was speechless. Guy's arrogance was too much. And, towards that very guy-like words. I hate you. I really, 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 really hate you. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you so much that I love you. Veltsard confessed with her whole heart. Guy's response to that was very simple. Yeah, I knew. So, a simple word, as if he said something unimportant. So arrogant, you are really an unpleasant. Right? That is proof that I'm me after all. Then, this makes me looks like an idiot for worrying all by myself. That's right. I also think so, you know. Shouldn't this be the part where you deny it and console me? Why? That's bothersome. Never mind that, quickly cut off the control. If you don't hurry up, I don't think even Vilgrind will last long. In fact, if the fight was prolonged, Vilgrind would have been at a disadvantage. If the energy supply from the soul corridor between her and Remura ceased, Vilgrind's defeat would become a certainty. You're unkind as usual towards me. Oh, really? You're my partner after all. I don't have to be considerate with you cause we're like a family, right? Partner. Family. Family. Veltsard's face, which was buried in Guy's chest, turned red instantly. In panic, Veltsard jumped away from Guy. Guy remained calm and didn't notice Veltsard's unrest. Let's get the hell out of here. He said so without minding Veltsard's feelings. Although Veltsard thought that Guy's attitude was a bit disappointing, she was relieved that Guy responded to her as usual. There was already no hesitation in her heart, and light of a strong will returned to her eyes. She then focused her mind in order to resist ultimate dominion that had been cast on her. Understood, I've also steeled myself. But, it won't be easy to cut off my brother's control. There's a way. It seems that the control had been established using Angel Series skill as the key in Lock 7. Then, if you neutralize it with a Demon Series skill, you can erase that lock. If you do so, no matter how powerful his control is, you can resist it. Guy answered without hesitation. In his words, there was a powerful confidence that Veltsard could do it. You make it sound so easy. Fine, I shall meet your expectations. And so, Veltsard overcame her own hesitation and confronted her brother's curse deep inside her consciousness. In response to the change of Veltsard's mind, the ultimate skills etched in her soul began to fight each other for domination of her soul. As Veltsard's will dictated, envious Lord Leviathan bit off Patience Lord Gabriel. However, Patience Lord Gabriel stubbornly resisted and tried to protect the lock of the control with its strong defensive power. The fight in Veltsard's inner world seemed to fall into a stalemate, but Guy wouldn't allow that. Veltsard, I'll help you just a bit. Guy said so and activated his imitation of the unbelievable ability he saw just a while ago. It was alteration, which helped Vulgrind overcome the control and evolve her skill. Question. Will you synthesize ultimate skill Patience Lord Gabriel with Envious Lord Leviathan and activate alteration? Yes/no. The voice of the world echoed inside Veltsard's mind. Is this what Guy means as help? But, let's believe in him for this. Veltsard answered yes without hesitation. Confirmed. Individual, Ice Dragon Veltsard's ultimate skill Patience Lord Gabriel and Envious Lord Leviathan are synthesized and evolved into ultimate skill Ice God Sovereign Thulhu 8. At the same moment that the voice echoed inside her inner world, the lock binding Veltsard's heart crumbled and disappeared. The lock of the heart that she could never break no matter how desperate she tried to resist it until now had been smashed to pieces easily as if it was glass. Veltsard and her skills had united splendidly and beautifully. This is the mental state that Vulgrind reached. And the strength Guy had given to me. If I have this ability, there will be no one who could bind me down. And so, Veltsard received it as a matter of course. If she and Guy banded together, they would have no opponents in this world. See, it was simple, right? Guy's voice, that was so arrogant to the extent of loathsome, echoed in her mind. Yeah, it was. I really look like an idiot. You think so? But I don't hate it, you know? It's a part of you too. Veltsard laughed a bit due to Guy's words. The young Veltsard was nowhere to be seen now. She returned to her original ladle-like appearance, beautiful and graceful. With a bashful smile that could charm everyone, she quietly muttered I am home 9 to Guy. Guy's consciousness instantly returned to his body. A bit of impatience could be seen in his expression. He was the one who did it, but he was astonished by Veltsard's rapid changes due to alteration. Rather, what exactly is that? That wasn't on the level of ability modification. Moreover, the only thing I did was activate it. I actually got the impression that something else had done it as a proxy. As if it had anticipated that I would do so. To Guy, who seemed that he was about to drift into his sea of deep thoughts. Yuri back? What happened to my older sister? He heard Vulgrind's voice asking him. The control was released safely. She will wake up soon. At the same time, Guy answered, Veltsard woke up. I have caused some trouble for you, Guy. And, Vulgrind, I have shown you my unsightly side and I apologize for insulting Rudra. She said so and lowered her head towards Guy and Vulgrind. For Anasama to apologize to me, I must have gone crazy. But, I'm so glad. It would be impossible for me to tolerate that Naysan was being controlled by someone after all. It seems I have made you worry. But putting aside whether Velda is Nii-san or not, it's true that his strength is comparable to Nii-san, you know. Humph. Even if it is so, if he's not Nii-san, no, even if he was Nii-san, I won't change my mind that I have to defeat Velda. Velda is Rudra's enemy after all. Yuri so straightforward, Vulgrind. I'm a bit jealous. The sisters threw a straight gaze at each other and confirmed each other's intention. Guy called out the two people with never mind that, let's end this quickly. Guy had already returned to his combat form while the two were talking. And the three of them turned their sight on the girl, who was Feldera's opponent. The hero Chloe towards Mana's, Lucia who had taken over her body. However, simultaneously with her blade flashed, Chloe's body split into two. No, that was just an illusion. The blade of will released from inside Chloe had interfered with the real world, which is why such an image was shown to those in this place. Feldera had been cut here and there, but he had not received a fatal injury. The two sisters were relieved to see that. Guy had his eyes glued towards Chloe. I see, as I expected, it had been concealed. A thin smile appeared on Guy's lips. Guy had realized Lucia's extinction and Chloe's victory. And so just now, the fight in the northern land had ended. 1. Nuryoku Hatsudu, Igunishan, Ability Activation. 2. Reigoku Shushitsugyushu Yaha, Haoto Auto Abusabu. 3. Taishi Shushitsu, Sessi Shanrazyuto, Suspended Dissipation. 4. Banbutsu Koteka, Soradif Wikaishan, All Creation Solidification. 5. Kaukaku Kyushuyu, Abusabu, Downgrade Absorption. 6. Mind World, Mental World etc. 7. Kajai, The kanji would normally mean key, but depending on the context, it can also means lock. 8. Hyojin/kori kami no ou, kuchirofu. 9. Tadema, I'm home/I'm back, used when you return to you home/a place where you belong to or to someone who you loved. It's a crowning moment of heartwarming. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 238, Justice and Contradiction. Justice and Contradiction. Chloe held her sword reflexively to the sight of a man approaching in front of her. She felt a bit regretful for the man who looked pretty thrilled. Chloe thought that, if the man had been looking forward to having a fight with her that much, she wanted to fight him seriously. Even if Feldera challenged Chloe in his true form, the result wouldn't change. Chloe's combat style was with a sword, it didn't change no matter what kind her opponent was. Chloe's weapon, which shaped like an Uchigatana one, was a spiritual weapon equivalent to God class. The sword had fought together with Chloe for a long time and became comparable to the demonic sword world, which was one of the best swords in this world. The sword was familiar in Chloe's hand as if it was a part of her, it kept protecting Chloe. It was a supreme sword with an edge that could cut even a spiritual life form. But Chloe couldn't be Feldera's opponent. This is because Chloe was deprived of her free will by Lucia with ultimate dominion. Lucia, who had obtained Chloe's body, was at the height of her triumph. She had put Veltsard under her complete domination and made her fight Vulgrind. Guy was a nuisance, but with Lucia's strength right now, she wouldn't lose even if she fought Guy and Feldera together at the same time. Indeed, Feldera couldn't do a thing before Lucia. It seemed he had borrowed a sword from Guy, but his sword skill was not worth considering. No, it was because Lucia was too strong. Lucia had made Chloe's swordsmanship completely as hers and could completely predict the trajectory of all attacks. Lucia thought that such overwhelming strength was Chloe's true worth as the strongest hero, but that was not all. Chloe was strangely very compatible with Seraphim's energy and ultimate skill Hope Lord Surreal. Lucia's main body was being perfectly guarded by ultimate skill Justice Lord Michael's Castle Guard. And now, she obtained the ultimate skill Hope Lord Surreal's Absolute End too. Ultimate Defense and Ultimate Offense. Lucia as Amanas was endowed with the wisdom to unravel the secrets of the skills. That was why she could come up with a way to synthesize the two ultimate skills into one. It would be fine if she inserted Infinity Prison 3 into Absolute End. In the first place, she didn't need to worry about defense since she had Castle Guard after all. Lucia thought so. And she would make Chloe as her sword and incorporated her into Justice Lord Michael. By doing so, Lucia would become a totally flawless being with offense and defense capabilities. Moreover, Infinity Prison wasn't actually an ability for defense. It is an ability to seal opponent that was too difficult to be destroyed like spiritual life forms. Hero Chloe seems to have used it as an irregular defensive means because she was inexperienced as a human and couldn't master the ability. But now it's an unnecessary ability. If it's me, I could master it perfectly, but rather than doing something half-hearted such as sealing the enemy, I'll destroy the enemy completely. Yes, under the name of justice, all of God's enemies shall be destroyed. So, from that flow of thoughts, Lucia made the decision to erase Infinity Prison. Thus, the forbidden door is opened. Although Lucia knew about it due to her wisdom which could even unravel the secrets of skills. That ability Infinity Prison is an ability for sealing something. Like Pandora Box, which contained all of the world's evils and calamities inside, an evil was sealed deep inside Chloe's heart. Once released, that evil would spread chaos and disaster into this world. Ramaris tried to interfere at the time Chloe who transcended time fused with the young Chloe was because she sensed this evil. That evil would have felt various negative feelings as they traveled through a long time repetitively. Chloe continued to seal it with her strong will. However, such feelings matured inside Chloe's heart and created a hideous personality. If only you don't wake up a sleeping tiger 4, you will only have me as your opponent, but now. That was Chloe's words. At the end of those words, Chloe's consciousness changed completely. If the atonement hero who carried all of humanity's negative feelings onto herself is Chloe, the God's Lair hero who condemned everything and loathed humanity's sins is also Chloe. It is Chloe yet also not Chloe. It is the one who condemns everything without any mercy. Its name is Mana's Chrono 5. Now that the seal was gone, it was freed from the prison of the heart. Although they were the same being, its strength was in a different dimension. Even Yuuki's curse that bound Chloe until then, was severed instantly. There was nothing that could stop Chloe now. For a totally flawless being that Lucia said of itself, that was exactly the word for Chloe. However, the current Chloe wouldn't lose to this evil. Her strong will and the fragments of Shizue and Hinata's heart are living inside Chloe's heart after all. Above all, there's Rimura now. That's why Chloe understood that Chrono was no more than a part of her heart too. She just accepted Chrono straightforwardly and it completely fused with her. As Chloe had accepted the unleashed Chrono Hope Lord Surreal which had completed its role, disappeared into Chloe's heart. However, all of its abilities are still usable by Chloe's will in the same manner as before. Justice? What is justice? Something uncertain and changing subjectively like that is your justification, you said? If that's so, you are not my enemy. Lucia felt she heard Chloe's voice. Don't mock me. Justice is the only eternal truth of all things. She tried to refute, but she never could. Because Lucia's consciousness had been locked in complete darkness instantly. That was what happened in Chloe's inner world. Chloe's deadly blade, Absolute End, which was released in order to interfere with Lucia's consciousness, did not even allow any resistance and annihilated her in one blow. Thus, the fight in this northern land ended. Veltsard shook off the binding and Chloe cut down the curse. Although there were some who were quite exhausted, ultimately everyone was alright. Quaahahaha. How about we call it a draw for today? With cuts all over his body, Feldera had barely dodged Chloe's last strike, but he was relieved to know that it was over. And casually, he insisted on calling their fight as a draw. Chloe's last attack was impossible to be analyzed even for Feldera. In the worst case, he couldn't help but thought that the attack possessed the same properties as space-time continuous attack obtained by his sister, Vulgrind. He even felt a bit scared, but it would be his loss if he worried about that. He wanted to fight the hero who got serious, but he wanted to win so he wouldn't allow himself to be defeated. Therefore, Feldera judged that he would be satisfied with a draw. Really? It seemed to me that you wanted to fight me, so I wouldn't mind being your opponent once this great war was over. And no, you don't need to be that considerate. Quahahaha, I have seen most of your attacks from our exchanges too, there's no need for us to fight for the time being. While slightly panicking, Feldera turned down Chloe's offer. Feldera was somewhat scared of his two sisters' gazes towards him, but he pretended he didn't notice and ignored them. At least, he found out that he couldn't compete with Chloe in swordsmanship at all. As for things he said, there was no lie in Feldera's words. Inside his mind, Feldera swore that he would train his swordsmanship thoroughly from the base up. Next was Guy, who spoke to Chloe. Returning to his usual male form, Guy began talking to Chloe while Feldera returned his sword back. Yo, is that your true power? Chloe nodded to Guy's question. Or rather. Huh? It seems that the Seraphim's energy is left behind. And Chloe had treated the power as her own too naturally, but in actuality she had stolen a majority of Lucia's energy. That was not all, there was also fragments of Justice Lord Michael left behind from Mana's Lucia's remains. As a result. Notification. Individual, Chloe Aubert, confirmed to have gathered the 3 elements of Courage Hope Justice 6. Moreover, the presence of Ultimate Skill Space-Time Lord Yug-Sothoth in her possession had been confirmed. Alteration is automatically activated. Successful. Ultimate Skill Space-Time Lord Yug-Sothoth has evolved into Space-Time God Yug-Sothoth 7. Within Chloe, an ultimate evolution was being carried without her realization. Even if it was an enormous energy of a seraph, it wasn't sufficient at all to activate that ability, alteration. Because of that, Chloe's evolution ended without being noticed by anyone. Not even Guy could notice that evolution, it was due to complete concealment of Ultimate Skill Space-Time God Yug-Sothoth. Looks like it. So, what happened to that Lucia fellow? Due to what was stated before, Guy asked about Lucia's end without paying attention to the Seraph's remains. I have eliminated a part of her that possessed me. But, her main body is safe. Did you let her go? No, so Chloe muttered to Guy, who asked with sharp eyes. A small smile appeared on her lips. It seemed like there was a glimpse of cruelty unsuited of a hero in her expression. Probably, it might not just be a hallucination. It was proof that the remnants of Chrono which had fused with Chloe were still alive. It was something unthinkable for the naturally gentle Chloe, but if it was Chrono, it could do it without hesitation. However, that was still something unbecoming for Chloe. Therefore, Chloe decided to leave the judgment to Lucia's own actions. It will be great if Lucia admits her defeat obediently, but if she doesn't do so, I shall teach her the true meaning of despair. Chloe declared so and stared at Guy with her strong-willed eyes. After all, her victory was certain. Moreover, for some reason Chloe felt that she wouldn't be the one who decided Lucia's fate. Very well. Then, shall we quickly go to defeat Velda? Yeah, let's quickly defeat the mastermind. I want to return to Sensei's place. Guy and Chloe were in consensus. Feldera was about to say, because the cuts all over my body aches, I'll return once they recover, but he remained silent before his two sisters' gazes. It was a very wise decision. Thus, the 5 people who could be said as the tops of this world began to move towards the heaven. Impossible, impossible, impossible. Lucia was screaming in her main body while going partly mad. Something impossible had happened just now. Amana's with the strongest will, was destroyed just by a mere human. She absolutely couldn't accept such a thing. Lucia thought so and derived the most optimum solution with her thoughts still in chaos. That's right, I just have to erase everything in the northern land. Only after she thought so, calm returned to her heart. And then she turned around and smiled at the being over there. With compassionate expressions that matched her gentle appearance. Milim, I want you to listen to your mother's request. She said so. A terrifying plan made by Lucia. Her plan was to annihilate Guy and Chloe along with the northern continent using Milim's Drago Nova 8 from a very high altitude. She would order Veltsard, who was under her control, with thought transmission to stop the movement of the other 3 people. She had planned to strike them all in one go. If she matched the timing and made Veltsard self-destruct, it would cause massive destruction with the super high-dense energy from the body of True Dragon as the source of the explosion. With the synergy of Drago Nova, it would annihilate the northern continent. It might even affect the planet itself, but such a thing was a trivial matter to Lucia. Guy, Chloe, Vilgrind, and Feldera. She only had to get rid of those 4 people and everything would be fine. If faced with this great destruction, it would be impossible even for those 4 people to survive. Lucia estimated the result would be so. Milim, you see. At the moment when Lucia tried to continue with her words. Good grief, are you a fool who can't even accept your own defeat? Such cold words came out from Milim's mouth. Lucia stared at Milim with eyes full of shock. I shall have you stop doing foolish things with my mother's appearance for good. Milim declared and smiled fearlessly towards Lucia. It was like a lie that she was obedient like a doll until now. Wah, you? Could it be you aren't under control? Humph, you finally realized? I decided to stay obedient until now because I can't come up with a way to break through your defense, but I don't need to do so anymore, you see? I want to reclaim my mother's body quickly, so let's get started. Milim declared so and smiled complacently. What a foolish thing to say. I have castle guard. There are many angels in this heaven, and besides even humanity's faiths are directed to this ability now. My defensive powers are incomparable to Rudra's, which was reliant on something as vulnerable as loyalty. Shut up. Milim interrupted Lucia with a roar. And then, she thrust her fist towards Lucia. Lucia instantly put her guard up. Castle guard automatically deployed in front of Lucia and protected her. You're foolish, Milim. It's troublesome that you broke out the control unexpectedly, but if Velda-sama awakened with perfect form, someone like you won't matter. I only have to endure until then. The real surprise hit Lucia at the moment she thought up that far. Castle guard was smashed into pieces and scattered before her eyes. I'm impossible. An unbelievable and unacceptable reality was expanding in front of Lucia. Fool? You're the fool here, you know? You don't understand the ability at all. You are like a child who knows secrets and wants to tamper on things with them. Do you know why my father, Veldanava, didn't give offensive capability to Justice Lord Michael? It seems you thought that it was incomplete, but that's wrong. That skill was complete because it was incomplete. What do you think will happen if the spear that could pierce everything and shield that could block everything come together? 9. Also, justice itself is something filled with contradictions. When you support one side, justice will lose its impartialness. An absolute justice is nothing but fantasy. Because of this ambiguity, my father kept Justice Lord Michael incomplete. It just became a power to protect without offensive power. Justice without force is powerless, but if you have the power to protect it, you could fulfill everything. That alone is what made it complete. Milim indifferently informed Lucia. Like a teacher enlightening a foolish student. And now, her hand was slowly extended towards Lucia. Impossible, I won't accept it. I will never accept such a thing. Justice is the only. Milim's hand touched Lucia. Your absolute defense is gone. Soon, your abilities will disappear too. Before that happens, I shall perform your last rites with my own hand. Stop it. I'm Lucia, Veldasama's absolute believer, the one and only. Begone from my mother. Mind Death Break 10. Without mercy, Milim's destructive capability was fully displayed. At this moment, the Mana's created form Justice Lord Michael named Lucia had been completely annihilated. Milim embraced her mother's corpse with a lonely expression. There was no warmth in the body, as it was freed from the effect of the ability, its time which had stopped begun to flow instantly. Lucia's body withered, turned into dust and disappeared. Good night, Okasama. Please, rest in peace. Milim didn't have memories of her mother's warmth. For Milim, playing with her mother's sacred remains was a sin worthy of a certain death. She had achieved her goal of freeing her mother from Lucia, who was being protected by the ultimate defense. Milim shall teach the next sinful person the depths of her wrath. The time has come. The name of the person she should judge was Velda, the person who impersonated her father and played with her mother's corpse. From now on, Milim unleashed her suppressed wrath. The heaven was about to be filled with waves of Milim's wrath. Author's note. I avoided Chloe's last boss route. I'm sorry for those who had been expecting that. I also have such versions, but I let it pass for now. One Uchigatana is a shorter version of Tachi. The length of an Uchigatana blade was around 60 cm to no more than 70 cm, while the length of a Tachi blade was around 75 cm. Pick for reference. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 239, Soaring Wall. Soaring Wall. Author note. Milim was furious. She decided that she must, definitely, eliminate Velda, the root of all evils. Milim burst the door open and proceeded to the throne room where Velda was sitting. Transparent capsules filled with clear liquid were arranged systematically in the walls. Floating inside each capsule were unborn angels. The soul energy was being poured into these empty vessels. Because they didn't possess a physical body, they were beings that could only exist in the heaven. If they established a certain degree of ego, they could act on the surface world for a short time, but it required a bit more time for that to happen. Milim paid no heed to the angels and aimed straight to the throne. The heart of this heaven. It was the place where the God One sat at the center of everything. Velda was now the ruler of this castle, in both name and reality. The automatic defense system of the Sky Castle 2 reacted to Milim's murderous intent and judged her as an enemy. The alarm reverberated and Guardian Dolls 3 appeared. However, they saw Milim's necklace and stopped moving. Yo, you cannot proceed beyond this point. Please turn back. 4. The dolls warned Milim. However, Milim completely ignored them. Get out of the way. As she said so, Milim casually swung her fist and destroyed one of the dolls. The dolls couldn't attack Milim due to the necklace that showed that she was Velda's family. Nobody could stop Milim. That was until a woman stood up before Milim. Milim-sama, you have grown to be such fine law. The woman tried to approach Milim while being moved to tears. She was a beautiful and gentle woman wearing a solid black dress. Is that you, Salome? It's been a long time. Joy brightened up Milim's expression for a moment, and then, "No. You are not Salome." Her expression was clouded over by sadness instantly. The woman who tried to embrace Milim was split into two. What dripped out from her wound wasn't blood but a transparent liquid of unknown ingredients. It was something that came out of a tattered body of a complex machinery rather than that of a living being. AHH. Me, Lim, Sama. You, have grown, beep. She extended her hand to touch Milim's cheek and wiped the teardrop on it. Just like that, the doll modeled after Salome fell to the ground. She was the woman who had raised and educated Milim when she still very young. The woman who cared for Milim in the olden days had passed away. There's no way she's alive. Unlike Milim, who could live eternally, Salome was no more than one of the maids who served Lucia. There was no way that Salome, who was a human, is still alive. But, Milim couldn't help but think of it. Whether her soul was called back to dwell inside the doll or not. Such a thing was impossible. That was the conclusion Milim came to, the correct truth. Milim destroyed the doll without hesitation and severed her attachments. It should be the right thing, and yet the doll's satisfied smile and overflowing tears for some reason had made Milim confused. So, she was perhaps really. What a cruel thing to do. Even though I especially called back a deceased soul for your sake. I thought you would be pleased, so I prepared the present secretly. I guess you didn't like it. A clear voice reached Milim's ears. She didn't need to turn around. The owner of the voice was. It's you, Velda. You bastard, I hope you are prepared for it. Prepared? For what, I wonder? Against Milim's expression filled with wrath, Velda still had a cool smile. Two contrasting emotions were clashing as the two faced each other. She hadn't contacted Rimura yet, but Milim wasn't worried about it. Since she felt residues of the hero Chloe at the time she buried Lucia just a little while ago. It was a very splendid sword slash that crossed over even multiple existence and reached Lucia's main body. It happened just for an instant, but Milim wouldn't fail to notice it. It was the time for the people who were being controlled by Lucia and the surface to be released. Although, it seemed Rimuru had schemed something as he lurked inside the shadow and perhaps already worked out some countermeasures for it. If she thought like that, even if she didn't bother to contact him, she believed that everything would be conveyed to Rimuru even if she stayed in this place. The fool called Vega was the first one to be eliminated by Rimuru's subordinates. The small fry called Kazarim seemed to have fallen as he couldn't defeat Leon. She also knew about Dagruel's defeat as Lucia was raising a fuss about it. Although where Dino was and what he was doing was unknown, Milim thought that it was pointless even to be worried about that cunning man. She knew that he would suddenly appear sooner or later after all. In other words, it could be said that Velda's subordinates were all defeated. It seems that your prided four unholy commanders have all been defeated. You're the only one left, Velda. I shall have you receive the reward for making me angry. As Milim said so, she pulled out the demonic sword earth and took a stance. Velda looked at Milim with a smile while shrugging his shoulders. I'll play with you, Milim. Those words became the signal. Milim easily demonstrated continuous sword techniques. However, Velda avoided everything by a paper-thin margin. He was still unarmed and had leeway for his attitude against Milim. That ignited Milim's anger and the demonic sword earth began pulsing as if it had reacted to it. The rusts on the surface of the sword disappeared, showing its bluish-white blade. It seemed that the blade was strengthened as it absorbed waves of her anger. Die. Drago Break 5. A ferocious slash like an embodiment of Milim's wrath was heading towards the defenseless Velda. However. Too bad. You're a bit slow. Velda easily stepped back with just a bit movement and dodged Milim's sword. But, that was as Milim's planned. The time for destruction is now. The moment Velda evaded Milim's sword, their position was now reversed. Milim stood in front of the throne while Velda stood on the ground below the throne. Plus, on the very rear of Velda's position soared the Heaven Gate, the only gateway connecting the heaven and the surface world. From the very beginning, Milim aimed for the chance to simultaneously attack both Velda and the Heaven Gate. With the demonic sword earth in her right hand, and her left hand charged with destruction intent. Right now, Milim unleashed Drago Nova at full power towards Velda. A bluish-white light beam which resembled a sparkling star's light overlapped repetitively and pierced through Velda. It pressurized the surroundings as the beam bulged and expanded to pierce everything towards the entrance from which Milim entered from. A flood of light was born, blowing away all of the lined-up pillars. And beyond them was the soaring wall of the heaven gate. Everything was as Milim planned. The bluish-white light beam penetrated through Velda as its power increased and pierced the heaven gate. As the lights subsided, half of the sky castle had been cleanly blown away and disappeared. Only half of the castle remained behind where Milim stood. However, the heaven gate was still intact. It wasn't unharmed as there were numerous cracks on it, but it had endured Milim's strongest attack. No, that's not it. I saw the light had gotten refracted just before the impact. Could it be? Milim didn't let her guard down. That was the right decision. As one would expect from my daughter. I never expected that you can make cracks to this impassable gate. There was someone who spoke in an excited voice towards Milim. Needless to say, it was Velda. Velda, who was unharmed, had sat on the throne behind Milim before she noticed. While suppressing her astonishment, Milim calmly turned around to face Velda. "Oh-ho! For you to be unscathed after being hit by Drago Nova. Ah, it was the ultimate magic that caused a supernova explosion with a super high compression. It's the ultimate perfected form of nuclear strike magic, Gravity Collapse 6, but it's impossible to be used unless the user can manipulate Stardust 7 freely. It's indeed an ultimate magic fitting for you. But, you see." Velda began to explain heedlessly to Milim, who unintentionally expressed her disbelief. He created a thin light membrane on his hand as to show Milim and continued his explanation. "I can also manipulate Stardust. It's easy to avert the impact since I directed the destruction so it only affected a limited area." So he explained. Velda seemed to be surprised that her power could affect the impassable gate, but it wasn't that surprising for Milim. Velda had said it easily, but it was an impossible feat unless he could read Milim's thoughts and understood her aim completely. More importantly, there was no one who could manipulate Stardust except Milim. It was an ultimate magic with the only way to defend against it was to do a lot of work of casting nuclear strike magic repeatedly in order to offset it, which even Guy couldn't do. But, right now, Velda had shown that he could easily manipulate it. In other words, it was no more than a magic which could easily be blocked for Velda, and Milim had lost one of her trump cards. What a monster! For the first time, Milim experienced Velda's true strength in the truest sense. "Well, are you done now? Since I will have you make a child with me, I don't want to hurt you. You should have played around enough, right? Please be obedient now." With a gentle smile, Velda said, so as if he was persuading a child. Milim desperately racked her head for something. "Is there nothing I can do?" Milim sought for a telling blow to Velda by making full use of her computation prediction. However, her calculation indicated a merciless result that everything was useless even with her high abilities. I should have waited for Rimuru and his subordinates to come here." At the moment when Milim regretted her action. Crack. So, a small sound echoed in the place. Milim moved her sight to see the origin of the sound. It also attracted Velda's attention as he did the same as Milim. "What?" And for the first time, Velda's expression was filled with disbelief. Right now, there was a huge crack on the towering heaven gate that blocked everyone from passing. And then light came flowing from the crack and the gate crumbled immediately after a thunderous sound. Good grief! What a sturdy gate, right? Totally. I didn't expect that even with the three of us it would repel our attack over and over again. That's right. I thought that it would be an easy task when we received the order from Rimuru-sama. While conversing like that, three women passed through the gate and came to invade. Testarossa, Ultima, and Carrera. Under Rimuru's order, they had finally succeeded in destroying the heaven gate. But, there seemed to be an impact from the inside at the end. There are some people here. I see, there was a commotion inside or something like that. The three shifted their focus to Milim and Velda and seemed to have guessed the circumstances. Testarossa smiled wickedly and pierced Velda with her cold gaze. "Hey, you two. If we kill that guy, won't all the achievements be ours?" Right. It seems we are the first to arrive here. Milim-sama seems to be struggling too, she probably won't complain if we help her. The other two agreed to Testarosa's words. And so, the three people confronted Velda with their respective weapons in hand. Milim analyzed the situation and thought of their winning percentages. It seemed that Rimuru had made the necessary preparations with exquisite timing as Milim had expected. She was unsure whether they could compete against Velda, but if they could distract Velda even momentarily, Milim could land a full-power Drago break. If she condensed Drago Nova's energy and made it explode inside Velda's body, even Velda who could manipulate Stardust could do nothing but to perish. Milim concluded so instantly. You guys, sorry but please lend me your help. The three demons delightfully nodded to Milim's shout. Her path to victory had been shut before, but she could now see a path opening even though it was only a small one. Velda looked at Milim uninterestedly and shifted his sight to see the three demons. Then he said, "It's troublesome to play with people other than Milim. I shall prepare suitable opponents for you guys." He announced so and took out an orb to his hand. Milim and the three demons were wary of Velda's action. However, something was created in an instant. Two people were standing in front of Velda. An old man dressed in luxurious black clothes. A short-haired soldier dressed in the former Empire Army's official uniform. The two surveyed their surroundings as they looked strangely confused. I'm certain that I should have died after I entrusted the girl with my techniques. Why am I here? I'm alive. No, that's impossible. They were Damrata who had entrusted his techniques to Ultima and Konda Tatsuya who had entrusted his will to Carrera. However, they were not the real one. That was proven from their reaction. Yo, you guys seem to have woken up. How's the body's condition? Ah, Velda-sama. It is very good. It's been a long time, Velda-sama. For you to call me, do you have a mission for me? Damrata and Konda took a pose to show their loyalty in front of Velda. Their current appearance was something you couldn't imagine from them when they were alive. Ultima and Carrera were stunned when they looked at the two. It was truly unbelievable, but the two appeared so similar to the real ones. Don't be deceived. They are just copies harboring their memories. Moreover, Velda had rewritten the memories to his likings. Their real selves' soul had disappeared, right? Not even a god can revive the dead. From Milim's shout, Ultima and Carrera also realized the truth. Velda's cheerful voice reached them. That's right. They and the maid I made a while ago for Milim have the same principle. Strangely, I can't collect memories of a living person and I can only use it once. This memory orb 8 can reproduce a deceased person's memories. Velda said so while fiddling around with the third orb he took out. And, he continued talking. I collected the angel's energy to this orb as the core and created a temporary body for them. They can't act on the surface, but that doesn't matter here. Besides, even if I used a lot of unskilled personalities or even if I tried to evolve them into manas, they weren't strong. This time I tried to replicate those with a strong will. With energy comparable to 10 awakened demon lords and a strong will. How about it, don't you think they are strong? Velda explained while laughing. As they understood the meaning of his words, the demons' expressions were dyed with anger. Tampering with a person's soul was the demon's specialty. Therefore, they didn't intend to complain about it. However, playing with the memories of the people whom they acknowledged was a blasphemy to them. Demons were fundamentally selfish. Even if they could tolerate their own actions, that didn't mean they could tolerate others' actions. It appears that he really wants to die. I am so mad now. Making me angry isn't something that is easy to be done. The three demons, who couldn't look at themselves objectively, declared their anger in their own way. And, that was the same for Milim. Don't let your guard down. I'll be Velda's opponent, but I can't hold out for long. Get rid of those imposters quickly. She ordered those words to the three. Thus, the fight in the heaven had begun. 1 Tensei, made from kanji of heaven and sovereign. Ruler of heaven, emperor of heaven, heaven sovereign, god. 2. Sky/air/heaven castle. I forgot to mention other alternatives when it appeared before, I think. It's the castle in the sky XD. 3. Shigokishin, Gadayandaru, machine god protector. For this sentence is spoken in combination of kanji and katakana to make it looks like a robot/doll/machine is talking. 5. Tenma Ryubashi Zan, Darago Buraku. Tenma Star/Stellar Dragon/. 6. Jurioka Hukai, Gurabiti Kora Puzu. 7. Hoshi Ryuushi, Sutta Dashuto. Star Particle/Grain. 8. Kyoku no Haujo, Memorabuleten. Sacred/Precious Orb of Memory. P.S. Reminder that Ultima is a Bokuko XD. I just remember the katakana for Milim's demonic sword is Earth, I had changed it accordingly. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 240, Final Decisive Battle Part 1. Final Decisive Battle 1 Part 1. Damrata and Kondo were calm without batting an eye despite being called fakes. They faced Carrera and Ultima without any emotions could be felt. No, they naturally had no emotions. Even if their memories were recreated, they were still someone else. Since they had no soul, they were merely a substitute artificial intelligence for combat. This certainly could be said as a deed of violating the dead. Velda looked at the demons who got angry and without his expression changing ordered eliminate the hindrances. And so, the fight had begun. Ultima exchanged blows with Damrata. Carrera and Kondo aimed their guns at each other in a short range. The battles between the two pairs were intense, but the match clearly showed who's superior in an instant. Bloody Bite which unleashed by Ultima was parried by Damrata without being overpowered by it. Just a few words. My technique, is it? It seems you have inherited it splendidly, but if the skill is the same, naturally what decides the outcome is the difference in power between us. Damrata uttered his impression. And then, he pierced through Ultima's chest whose stance was broken with his crushing fist too. He refined enormous energy and assimilated it with his fighting spirit, and concentrated it on his fist. And then, the mass of unleashed fighting spirit caused explosive destructive power. While coiled around like a snake, it devoured the inside of Ultima's body. Ultima was conscious but she couldn't move her body. Because she's a demon which is a spiritual life form, she lost the control of the body because the flow of energy was devoured. No, if this happened on someone with a physical body, they might not be able to endure it and have their insides collapse and explode. Carrera likewise fell on the ground. They had fast drawn their guns at extreme speed and simultaneously fired their bullets, but the power discrepancy was too great. The bullets fired from Carrera's large-caliber handgun collided head-on with the bullets fired from Kondo's automatic handgun. The bullets, which are refined energy bullets, due to the difference in energy density, one side's had their bullets burst and disappeared. The bullets that Carrera fired had disappeared. Wah! By the time she was surprised, it was after a large amount of energy had been deprived from Carrera's body. Ultima and Carrera, those two who rivaled or surpassed even an awakened demon lord, were easily defeated just like taking candy from a baby. While confronting Velda, Milim was observing the fight with side glances. Energy comparable to 10 awakened demon lords, huh? It seems he wasn't just bragging about it. So, she quickly concluded. She realized that the demons had no chance for winning against Kondo and Damrata from their exchanges just now. Then, what would she do? Milim had no other choice but to throw her hands up. Moreover, she was concerned about the third memory orb Velda had. Although the energy that filled up the heavens had almost disappeared entirely just by Velda creating Kondo and Damrata, if he brought forth someone whom rivaled those two, their chance of winning would be gone. This is very bad. I didn't expect it, for him to really have strength surpassing true dragons. It seems my thoughts are a bit naive. Nonetheless, Milim thought that if Velda had so much power, regardless of whether she did it alone or carefully made a plan and challenged him with everyone, there wouldn't be much of difference anyway. The only thing Milim could do was to unleash all her power to crush Velda. Milim prepared to fire a full-power Drago Nova while needing fighting spirit inside her body. Milim had not given up yet. She believed that the possibility of her defeating Velda wasn't zero if she could land an attack on him. However, she had no choice but to admit that it was very difficult to penetrate Velda's guards. Two of the demons were defeated and Testarossa left alone wouldn't be able to stop Kondo and Damrata. It was a very disadvantageous situation. However, even so. Milim kept analyzing the situation calmly. Well now, Milim. It's about time for you to give up and be obedient. No matter how you struggle, you understand that you have no odds of winning, do you? Humph. Say whatever you want. If you wanted a child, you should have made one with that insolent person who called herself my mother. Although she met a foolish end. Don't misunderstand it, Milim. What I wanted is not really a child. The only one who stands next to Velda is Lucia. I thought that I could recreate knowledge Lord Raphael if I granted it a physical body and name, but... What? Ah, as expected, it seems the manas created from justice Lord Michael couldn't become Lucia's soul. It's a disappointment for you too, right? If only I could reproduce knowledge Lord Raphael that Lucia previous had, it can be said that reviving the soul that created the skill is possible. If I succeed that far, I only need to plant memories to the soul again. It can be said as a reverse process of a soul creating the skill, but it seems to be more difficult than I thought. It was the most probable method though. Velda answered Milim's question. His thoughts were nothing but crazy as he talked about a method that could be said as taboo. You bastard, in order to revive my mother. You created the memory orb. That's right, so what? Even spreading fear, panic, and chaos to the world to destroy humanity was nothing more because of my wishful thinking. It would be great if someone awakened with it under such circumstances. It would be rational for me to seek a more certain method, right? Reviving a soul is very difficult, but if the same skill can be created, the characteristics can be said pretty similar. That's why it's important for ultimate skill knowledge Lord Raphael to be created. You bastard, such a... Milim was made speechless. She tried to deny it, but she had realized that there was a slight possibility in that method. But, well, I didn't think that it would fail, even though I granted Michael the body I had preserved. Moreover, I ended up losing the precious body. This was a failure. So, as the last resort, I think that me making a child with you will be the most certain way. If it's you who is Lucia's daughter, wouldn't you able to give birth to a body similar in terms of DNA? With just a bit of tampering, I can change it to the same body as the original Lucia. 3. With a clear and serene smile, Velda informed the method died with madness to Milim. You are crazy. Is that so? But, you see, Milim. No matter what you are thinking, it doesn't matter to me. And, for an instant, Velda disappeared and Milim received an impact on her abdomen. Although she took a defensive stance right away, Velda's fist easily broke through her multiple barrier, and the fighting spirit she needed with a lot of efforts ended up dispersed. Just like that, Milim was thrown to the ground. Although she tried to stand up, her body couldn't muster any strength in contrast to her will. Kaha, he is, certainly, strong. Milim glared at Velda while keeping her consciousness by adjusting her fighting spirit. I see you're still resisting, Milim. I'll be your opponent after I destroyed the world, so I want you to sleep for a bit. While saying those words, Velda focused energy on his fist and held up his hand to Milim. And then, lights were overflowing from his hand. Testarossa accurately analyzed the current situation and judged that her chance of winning was 0. Her result was more pessimistic than the conclusion Milim had, but that was because Testarossa didn't possess any trump card. Since the two demons of the same rank as her were defeated instantly, the result could be seen no matter how hard she tried. Given the situation, there was only one way that Testarossa could do. Good grief. I didn't expect that Velda is such an existence. However, well, we had accomplished the supreme command we received from Rimuru-sama to break the heaven gate. It could be said the plan is a success. If it's Rimuru-sama, he would have started with the next plan I guess, so I should earn some more time. Since she would lose even if she fought, there was no other way but to earn time by conversation. For Testarossa, death wasn't something to be afraid of. After hundreds of years, or even after thousands of years, it would be possible for her regenerate with some of her memories and ego. But, when she thought that the comrades she knew might not exist in that era, she felt a bit lonely. Fufu, that's funny. For me to feel lonely. Is this what they called a sentiment, I wonder? Well, whatever. Testarossa switched her thoughts and began to stall for time by verbal attacks. There is no feelings and no souls either. You two are moving sophisticatedly for a hollow doll. However, it's hilarious. Testarossa said those words pompously, watching for their reaction. Talking like this would be meaningless if their memories were just reproduced, but Damrata and Kondu had their memories altered. Testarossa was aiming at the inconsistency in it and saw their reaction. Although those two were like robots without emotions, won't they get confused due to the inconsistencies as they are precise machines, so Testarossa had such a prediction. Hilarious? What do you mean, young lady? Damrata asked calmly. Moreover, the one who answered was not Testarossa, but Kondu. It's simple. This demon, Carrera, seems to have taken over my ability, even my soul. But, I don't have memories of it. The person I have given my soul to is hostile against Velda-sama with some kind of goal. Guessing from the circumstances, it would be natural to think that some part of my memories was inconveniently rewritten. Don't you think so too, Damrata? Isn't it possible that our souls were stolen? No. I won't allow such unsightly conduct. Kondu declared confidently. Damrata also nodded. Although he said it himself, he understood that it was an unlikely thing to happen. I guess so. This girl had succeeded my techniques and used it perfectly after all. Damrata agreed to Kondu's explanation. Testarossa looked at Kondu with a slightly surprised expression. Because Testarossa was impressed by Kondu, who had analyzed and explained the current situation perfectly in such a short time since he was created. This man is frighteningly calm. There are things that only Carrera acknowledges. However, at the same time, Testarossa realized from looking at Kondu's clear eyes that even if she thrust many contradictions to him, he wouldn't be confused or change sides. But, does it matter? Don't worry about it, Damrata. We just need to carry out the mission given by Velda-sama. As Testarossa thought, the man reproduced from Kondu's memories pointed the muzzle of his gun towards Testarossa without hesitation in his eyes. I thought that I would able to earn slightly more time, but it was meaningless, I guess. Rimura-sama, it doesn't mean we're dead. Please give us your forgiveness. Testarossa stood proudly till the end. Her mouth took the shape of a crescent moon and sprouted a charming smile. Although she did everything she could, she concluded that it seemed that she ran out of time. However, rather than giving up, she concentrated her consciousness in order to activate the secret technique of reincarnation, for with her strong will and pride as the strongest devil lord in her heart. However, the secret technique of reincarnation was never activated. That was because it was no longer necessary. The last struggle Testarossa had done was not pointless. One shot was fired. Kondu's bullet was strong enough to annihilate even a devil lord whom surpassed awakened demon lords, as it housed overwhelming killing intent that wouldn't allow evasion or defense. Exactly at the moment when the assassin's bullet broke through Testarossa's multiple barrier. Fu. Testarossa, you're not permitted to die without permission. Rimura-sama will be angry, you know. The bullet was stopped exactly in front of Testarossa. A smiling Diablo suddenly appeared and stood next to Testarossa, while holding the bullet with his fingers. Diablo, you were late, you know. I didn't plan to die, but it was just one step before I got annihilated, you know. Fu, excuse me then. However, didn't you gals proceed without permission after destroying the Heaven Gate? Testarossa lightly shrugged her shoulders to Diablo's inquiry and changed the topic. So, may I leave those two to you? I am afraid to say, it might be hard for me alone. However, there's no need to worry. Because it isn't just me who came to this place after all. Could it be, Rimura-sama too? No. It looks like Rimura-sama will come after the removal of the flying insects is confirmed. Therefore, I wanted everything to be over until then though. Diablo looked at Damrata and Kondu and smiled wryly. He glanced to look at Velda, who fired lights towards Milim. Fu. As expected, they're fast. It seemed those people have arrived. However, everything is going as planned, I suppose. What? Immediately after Testarossa responded to Diablo's mutter, an explosion occurred centered on the place where Milim was. Kondu withdrew to the rear while being cautious of Diablo, and Damrata also moved instantly in front of Velda to protect his master with his body as a shield. Looking at the unexpected explosion, Velda slightly clicked his tongue and grumbled, more hindrances are coming. See? Because you gals are slow in breaking the gate, other people have arrived. Although I would have been defeated by myself, so I won't complain only for this time. The people Velda grumbled as hindrances and the other people Diablo mentioned were needless to say. Appeared besides and in front of Milim were figures of 5 people, Guy and Chloe, also the 3 true dragons. Velda glanced at Guy and the others unpleasantly. And then, he opened his mouth. Geez. Because you came together with everyone, does this mean you're going against me? Hey, Veldsard. Instead of Feldera and Vulgrind, who he couldn't connect his thoughts with, Velda questioned Veldsard, who had been under his control, in order to ascertain her intention. Silence. You're an imposter who impersonates my Anu. Now that you mention it, why did I ended up thinking that a bastard like you is my Anu? Veldsard cut down Velda's question and clearly showed her hostile intention to him. Velda's domination on her had already been lifted off by Guy and lost its effect. Now, there were no more gaps inside her heart to be taken advantage by control-type ability. Velda sighed, and shrugged his shoulders. He annoyingly said, you all really are troublesome, and his mouth curled wickedly as he thought of something good. That's right, I shall call out a person you all dearly missed. I'm kind after all. While speaking so, he took out the last memory orb from his pocket. Guy. As if I will let you. Guy reacted to Milim's shout and unsheathed his sword with great speed to attack Velda. While evading the attack easily, Velda said, You're too slow, and laughed. Hey, it seems the angels below have been destroyed just at the right time. Energy started to fill up the heaven. With this, it looks like I can create the strongest one with all the power left from the angels. All of you are excited too, right? Enjoy the reunion you all yearn as much as possible. And then a human was created. What is this place? Or rather, what happened to yours truly? Vulgrind turned pale when she saw that person. Guy and Veldsard too. The reason why was that person was Guy's best friend and the subject of Veldsard's jealousy. And also, he was Vulgrind's partner. That person's name is Rudranaska. He was the Rudranaska who had the memories of his prime when he was still the strongest. The energy leaked out of the destroyed angels from the surface, flowing into the heaven, and formed Rudra's body. It was a tremendous dense energy which easily surpassed Kondu and Damrata, who were created earlier. Velda's trump card, who foresaw the defeat on the surface, was now manifested its form. 3 people stood like protecting Velda. Damrata and Kondu were on his left and right, with Rudra in the center. Confronting them were Guy, Milim, and the 3 true dragons. There was also Chloe and Diablo. Testarossa retrieved Ultima and Carrera and treated them. She judged calmly that participating in the fight would be pointless because the level of the fight had reached another dimension. From Testarossa, she could only pray for Diablo and the others' victory. However, it was like Testarossa didn't have any feelings of anxiety and fear. What could be seen from her eyes was the color of interest. Even so, that Diablo, he stands side by side with those at the top. Even Testarossa had no other choice but to admit that those people were called the pinnacles of this world. Testarossa nodded satisfyingly as she saw her colleague calmly stand beside those people without feeling timid. She wasn't afraid of defeat. She would even overcome death. And then, she decided that someday they would climb and reach the top too. And now, each of them ascertained their prey and the fight began. 1 Kohokessen. There are a lot of alternatives for the title: Final Decisive Battle / Final Great Battle / Greatest Decisive Battle / Climactic Battle / Summit Battle / Peak of the Decisive Battle / Final Battle for the Top / Summit Showdown / Final Showdown / Peak Decisive Battle / Ultimate Match / Top Decisive Battle, etc. etc. Which one do you guys think is the best for the chapter title? Tuhan, Crushing Fist, Demolition Fist. 3 Ed note, this is wrong on so many levels. Trying to get the daughter to bear a child to turn into her mother, yep, crazy alright. 4 Rinatan Shao no Hiji. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.